And hello everyone and welcome to the inaugural season Custom Track Cup Division 1 Finals. I'm Scope and I have the pleasure to be casting Division 1 once again, this time alongside Sparkster. How you doing, my man?
Pretty good, and I'm honestly extremely excited for another Division One finals, and especially with these two teams, it's going to be really competitive and exciting to watch.
Yeah, exactly. I had the pleasure of casting your semifinals match. You did make Six Sense sweat quite a bit, and that was really impressive showcase to watch. Really excited to see if we can see a similar level of competition this time. And I will let you go ahead and present our first seed in these finals, and especially considering you've scrimmed against them 4 times in 2 days at this point, I believe, right?
Yeah, that is true. Actually, we scrambled against them 3 times last time. We just played them like 30 minutes ago. We finished, so they're definitely warmed up, and I think they have way more warm up compared to 6C as they played more scrims. So the lineup they're going to be using in today's matches are Jack Canada, Abel, Tektrox, Winter, and Miwi bagging. So all these players, again, they've all four of them actually have a 30 GP average, so all really consistent and high scoring runners. I believe Abel, yeah, Abel having the highest, so could see Abel being the main front runner of this team, and then followed by Jack Canada and Winter, and then Tektrox, who mostly plays in the mid pack, but is pretty good with his items. You know, he has that RT experience as well. He plays RT mid to high div, so that can help him carry him here. And then Winter, obviously established D1 player. He's been playing D1 for a few seasons with different teams such as OK and Q, mostly with that ICB sort of friend group. But, you know, a little switch up here with MI, and he's honestly done pretty good for his first season with a new team. And lastly, Jack Handa, you know, the leader of the team and pretty well known for high div. You know, he's been playing with this team for I don't know the last 5 years. So good forerunners here, and then Miwi, debatably the best bagger, or I guess when it comes to strats, someone that I'd be scared to bag against personally. But um, this could be a battle of shocks, but you know we could see Johnny with the practice that he has. We could see even bagging battle here, but Miwi is again a pretty strong bagger for this D1 finals, and that'll be it for MI. And moving on to 6C as the other team.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sparkster. I will say though, it is important to note that during the scrim that you played, from what you told me, Abel was not in the lineup, so might be going in cold compared to the rest of his team. So will be important to see if that does impact his standings. But yeah, absolutely. Six Sense, their opponent today, quite the renowned CT team, possibly the most dominant CT team in the history of this game. Zilla, Brody, the most consistently strong running duo that we've had in these past 2 years. Actually being the top two of the division in individual standings with 40 points and 36.8 points. Subs joining them once again, same as in semifinals, but their last member this time is different. It's not Artie, it's not Charlie, it's Ivan joining in. A pretty experienced player as well, having a lot of RT experience, similar to Brody in that fact, and having some tracks that he does specialize in. We'll have to see, for example, Rainbow Road Solar Edition will be picked by Sixth Sense during these finals here. But overall, an extremely strong lineup with all of them really being able to run in the front, Zilla and Brody, especially on tracks that are more technical, such as Banished Keep, Color Wonderland, Marble Towers, the typical selection for 6C, and Johnny being quite the experienced D1 bagger as well. And as you said, Sparkster, having practiced quite a bit coming into this finals here, obviously being against Miwi, I think we all heard the numerous stories when Miwi started CT bagging of the 10-hour CT practice days that he ended up
Yeah.
pulling, but hopefully, as you said, the shocks will be more even though both of those teams can absolutely get winning races without the shocks. So it will be interesting to see how this battle plays out in the end. We'll just gonna quickly check up on our players in the lobby here, seeing how much time we have before we get started. 4 players seems like we have quite a bit of time. And first off, Sparkster, I want to ask you, who do you think is going to take this, and do you think we will end up seeing a match 3 tonight?
So I'm honestly gonna go 50-50. I personally think that 60 will run away with the running power here, but I think when it comes to shot count here, I believe maybe we'll have the edge on shot count. So it's basically for me, I just think who can execute better. If 60 can play around MI shocks, I believe they'll take this away 2-0. But if MI can really get big races off of their shocks, then we could see a match one win here from MI, and then possibly send to a match three or even a 2-0 win for them.
Yeah, it definitely seems to be the case often when you're up against 6C is that they don't really need shocks to stabilize their race, and you need shocks
Yeah.
to make big plays to catch back up. Definitely seems to be a big trend when you face 6C. So unfortunately, Miwi's probably going to have to work overtime here, but hopefully it'll end up being somewhat even in general. I would be extremely excited for this to go to a game 3, though I do share your opinion that I do think Sixth Sense will take this, especially when you consider the fact that both of these teams have a record of 8-1 in official matches over the course of both CTL and Custom Track Cup. MI has only won a single match during these teams whenever they went up against one another. Though it was this season, and it was with arguably a stronger lineup for 6C, at the very least, in my opinion. So it will definitely be interesting to see if they can follow up the momentum that they've built up through this season, through the scrims of yesterday and today, as they go up against what is possibly the strongest team in CT history, or at the very least in the more recent years, if you're someone that particularly enjoyed the SOP and SY days.
Yeah, there hasn't been like a powerhouse of a team again since early CTL or even Wingfi League days. So we could see this powerhouse of a team possibly be taken down here by MI, and that'd be pretty cool to see a change of winners. I think 60 have won every single season except that one where Jay-Z won, I believe, in season 11 or
Yeah,
12.
and
I believe it was 12.
season 11, I do believe. I do believe it was season 11, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken. With the
yeah.
season 12 banner being voided and the season 13 them not
Sure,
playing at
sure,
all.
sure.
With that being said, I do think both storylines coming into this are really interesting because on one end you do have the Cinderella story of MI constantly battling it out in lower Division 1, top of Division 2, and finally through effort and the new acquisition of Winter, making it all the way to finals here against 6C, and it'd be quite the Cinderella story for them for sure. But on the other hand, 6C have the opportunity to get the first trophy of this new era of Custom Track Cup. And in either case, it's definitely a really interesting storyline for them, either to just get started on a new era of dominance or to break the cycle in a way by winning that outright. Though it was technically broken by Jay-Z a few seasons ago. We are now up to 8 in the room, so hopefully it shouldn't take too much time. I do want to highlight the fact that both these teams have an extremely practiced track pool as well. I did mention during the 6C track selection that they do have tracks that they specialize in, such as Color Wonderland, Marble Towers, Banish Keep, etc. Did MI practice those tracks during your scrims against them, Sparkster?
Yeah, we played Marble Towers, Color Wonderland, and a few more 6C tracks, and obviously they picked their staples such as Bluster Blob, um, and Blizzard Bluff. So they practiced sort of like an even kind of some of their tracks and some of their own tracks, which is I think the best type of practice to get. So
Yeah,
you're warmed up
absolutely
on your own
agree.
tracks to get the best advantage you can get.
Yeah, so MI have quite. I do say a lot of that's part of what makes custom track so interesting to me is simply that every team sort of have their own specialized track picks or their own track taste in general. And I do think MI is a
Yeah,
perfect example of that with, as you mentioned, tracks such as Bluster Bluff Bluff, such as CTR Blizzard Bluff, and other tracks that they're really pretty much the only ones to pick in general. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how these quote unquote specialized tactics of theirs end up swinging the war one way or another. Just as a reminder for folks that may not be used to this format, in best of threes, you are not allowed to pick the same map that you picked in match one in match two, but the tracks in match one are available once again in match three, but the tracks that you pick during match two are not able to be picked in match three. So there's a bit of an interesting mind game to be done here about burning tracks that your opponent picks, etc. But we'll get to it. We'll get to that if it does come to that. Hopefully, neither team will run away with it far enough that burning tracks becomes a mandatory strategy. But we're gonna have to see in due time here.
we do see 10 in room here, so very soon,
And
yeah, we
we
start
are off,
soon.
ladies and gentlemen. So we're gonna have to
So
see if any which team ends up with the first track pick here.
probably gonna see the two staples here. Probably gonna see. Honestly, I'm gonna assume Blizzard Bluff. Honestly, on the side of MI, but 6 I'm honestly not sure what they're gonna
You
go
would.
for evens. Maybe Marble Towers or
I'm not. I gotta say I don't know exactly what 60 pick in evens, but Marble Towers would definitely be a pretty pretty normal option coming from them. Speaking of which, I should have mentioned that I don't know the exact POVs that we have just yet, but hopefully, uh, should have asked beforehand. I'm a horrendous caster, but it seems like Rabbit Hole is going to be the pick for Sixth Sense, and it is not going to be picked immediately as Mansion
Mansion
Madness,
Madness.
another MI staple and one that a lot of other teams might not be as familiar or enjoy as much as they do, that's for certain.
All right, let's get D1 on the show. First race here. We're gonna have, I believe it was Jack's POV for MI and then
Yeah,
Zilla's POV.
Jack and Zilla
6,
POV,
so
definitely two of the more interesting
Jewel
ones for
Jack
me,
gets
and it seems that
bumped.
exactly, Jack gets bumped on the starting line here. Zilla already in first place with Brody right next to him, I would assume. So already 60, already in a pretty decent spot at this point, as he's going to have to contend with Winter eating the TC, unfortunately, and that's a really bad start of the race for
Yeah.
MI.
Blackhawk's still holding down second here. Jack's goldening in third or fourth here, so pretty neutral spots for now, but MI's main focus here is just to get Zilla out because Zilla's probably just gonna run this as he will for most of the races here.
Yeah, that's the thing with 60. You need to get their top player out as soon as possible because you know they're going to be able to hold that for a while. But as you said, a lot more neutral than I thought it was at first. But Zilla gets stuck here,
Oh,
and
Zilla
that
messed
means
up.
Jack can get up to first place immediately, and we see Miui getting the strat down first, so he is going to be in 10 as well. That's a great start for Jack, but he still has to contend with Zilla in second at this point.
See, no cut takers here, so Jack stays in first, Zilla behind. Red here. M 1-3 for MI.
Was that a Bell in third, or was it still?
Tetrox.
It's still Tech Rock, yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Two shells for Zilla, hopefully gonna make a move on the straight here, but I do think Jackan should be able to hold this at the very least, unless there's a green snipe made.
Oh, green attempt. Avoided by
It's
Chad. Really good.
good play by him. An awareness of a player of this much experience and caliber in general. Then a snipe attempt, but it does
Oh, what a
connect.
nana. Oh,
Great play by Zilla
really
there.
good nana scene.
And it does get him past the ramp as well, so Jack just loses a ton of time on this, and Zilla already has a few seconds lead there. Nana a bit too tight to connect, but there's an immediate blue that was most likely held by MI. The red
But Brody and
convoy,
Ivan both take cut. They're top
double
two
cut,
still.
double cut takers, one in Mega, one in a random Shroom. Brody doesn't eat the red there, the red just goes off. Unfortunately, the track being pretty old does lead to a bit of jank like this, but 6C now in top 2-4, and I do think that Miwi should have the shock there, at least one of the baggers does, but
Oh, but
Jack,
Jacket's rejected. Oh, that was really unfortunate. I think 60's. No, Jack's still in third here. Top comes
that
out from
wasn't,
MI. TS is both of them, I believe.
death with both
Brody's
of them,
TS.
and Dodge's Winter in a Star and a Bell and a Mega, if I'm not mistaken, or really the last MI member. So still being pretty close to top 3, but for the time being, I do think 6C are still in a really good shape at this point. So we're gonna have to see if that is
Yeah.
16 bottom 2 actually. So most likely a member of MI in top 2 at the very least. So the last Dodger. Gonna have to see if 6C can catch back up here. But Miwi Shock absolutely making up for 60 start of the race, and I do believe that it's 2-3-5-6 or at
Yeah,
the
I believe
very
it. Yeah,
least
I
for
did see
MI.
Ivan die. I did see Ivan die at the line there, so I believe it is, yeah, 2-5-6. That bomb there, really good just to secure bottom two for 6C there, and should be winning race here by a good amount. That Nana Izilla was a big race changer, but then blue there. So
Blue cut shock,
lots
just
of
a lot of changes in the
back
top
and
spot.
forth. Yeah, there were a lot of back and forth swings that race.
Tech Talk does get first
Oh,
actually 1-3-5-6. It's the winning race for MI as we start this final. That's pretty much the best start you could ask for against a team like 16.
yeah, this is exactly what it is. And now it's going to be a game of momentum. If they can keep chaining these winning races here, then this is what they will need to get the match one win. But we'll probably see. I'm not sure. They could go Bluster Blob at any point. That's like their safe track that they could pick any point. It could be, I think, Bluster Blob.
We're gonna have to see, but I do think there's a chance for something a bit more running heavy. Christmas Chord was the one I was wondering
Oh,
with
Christmas.
1-3 being
Yeah.
available, 1-3-5-6. But yeah, the Miwi Shock absolutely being the changing point of the race, allowing Tech Truck to dodge up in Mega and taking the cut right after, getting him into first place. So big start for them. Granted, they do come in hot since they, as you said, they just finished the scrim right before. So they are going to be so 60 might need a bit of time to warm up first before we go into the swing of things, but you need to run away with the start. During the semifinals of MI versus Omega, MI got the lead during both matches and never let up. So MI with a lead, pretty strong team to face here as we go into their track pick of Christmas Court.
This first box here is going to be pretty key. Whoever pulls the golden here by any player is going to be key to getting to the front here. So it'll just be a matter of time to see who
Red
pulls
shell
these
for
shrooms.
Brody. Or Ivan actually an amazing bomb sniper to Textrox. Not exactly sure who threw that. Could have possibly been Zilla in the mid pack. But Brody now into first place. But MI on his tail in 2-3-4. Blooper, not exactly what you want to keep this spot,
Oh,
especially
that's a
not
wheel
as you
lock
drive
off.
off.
That is unlucky.
Yeah. Unfortunately, not the first time we've seen CTL drivers, even in high divisions, get hit by this wheelie lock here. Brody still being in first place, but that Mega and fourth by Zilla could absolutely be a race changer, as both baggers are still going backwards at around the same pace.
Not sure which baggers in 10, but it's still even. So we could see Zilla chaining this Megason just to get into the top 2 or 1-3 here.
It does seem to be it does seem to be Miwi, but it's going to be extremely close at this point. Zilla choosing to take the cut, not wanting to hold on to his dodge for too long, securing top two alongside Brody in case if a blue shell comes or anything along those lines. Red possibly if anyone passes them. Nana being avoided. Ivan in fourth actually. In third now, catching up to his teammates. Bit of lag on these corners here, but that is top three for Sixth Sense at this point as one of the baggers does run forward. So there is shock in play, and it is Miwi
It's
who is
MeWe.
running.
Yeah. Could see a big change. Shock could maybe come out here. But Ivan's in. Yeah, does Shock just come out? There is a Dodger in the mid pack, I believe. But I think it's. No, there isn't actually.
No dodger in the mid pack, only Jack Dan dodging
Yeah.
after the end of Ivan's Mega. That POW can absolutely help take down Brody in the top spot. Gonna get Winter in the air, but it doesn't seem like he got
Oh, that
Brody in the air as well. But that blue
was
pull,
really good.
Zilla does manage to get a Nano on him. Abel now in third place, sorry, with Tech Shock in fourth. Ivan building up there, but with that blue pack, it's super close at this point. It could be
This
anyone's
pack is
race as we
crazy.
go into the last. As we go
This
into the
last
last
set's gonna be
item set.
key here. Whoever pulls Shrooms here is gonna be the winner of the race. Jack gets a golden eye, perfect for Jack.
Brody does
Might
get it
pass
as
ever.
well. Zilla does
Oh, but
manage
Jack
to
gets
get it
on the
up.
line. Oh,
It's 6-7 at the very least for MI, but that does look like a really good race for 6C, even with that shock. I feel like it was a pretty premature shock, all things considered. There was a chance of maybe pulling a Mega in the mid spots or anything like that, but I guess they felt they needed to catch up to the top spots there, so they called an early shock, not wanting to risk anything there. But at the end there, Zilla swerving into Jack's line as Brody barely managed to pass him. Shrooming past Zilla just closes in on Jack. Great play by both of them. And MI actually, my mistake, Winter and Abel get top two out of this. We didn't have good eyes on the front, but that means it's another winning race for MI after this early shock.
yeah, that pack was very close, but I believe just because 6C were mostly the top spots, they'd get I guess, the worst chains compared to the MI players. So I believe it was just a matter of Winter and Abel just pulling Shrooms over the
There is
6C members there.
Yeah, unfortunately, no eyes on them. We were a bit too focused on the two Goldeners in the mid pack, but yeah, that was definitely one of the closest packs I've ever seen on Christmas Court there at the end.
Yeah, usually there's always usually breaks on the track.
Yeah, there's definitely at least a bit of a pack break, but 1 through 8 was pretty much
Yeah.
exactly in the same. Am I chaining a third track pick there with Ghost House, a really much newer track pick? As we go into this third race here. MI, they have the momentum going into this, and hopefully they can keep it going as long as their track picks get a chain, but you gotta hope that 6C don't turn the momentum around the moment Mr. Bean deals his hand towards them instead.
I
Great draft at
see
the
whoever
start for
pulls
Jack.
Greens here to take that first cut for top spots, but
Brody
Brody gets
gets
fibbed.
That's a top 4 for MI
Yeah.
immediately as Jack is playing in the mid pack, his preferred position. We know all too well about the Jack Canada triple greens, so he is in his element here as he's going to try and make sure his team gets the most amount of leeway possible. But that is another amazing start for MI. Stubbs is going to be feeling the wrath of these triple reds here and most likely going to get up and hit. Actually, managing to dodge it with Brody taking the cut in the star as Brody also taking the cut there, possibly the only hope for 6C at this point as he breaks into that top 3. Zilla forced to use his star there to dodge the red from Jack Canada and pulling triple reds himself, hitting out both Winter and
Winter,
Tektrox.
yeah, 6C gets into top 2 now.
The dynamic duo of 6C now in top 2, and also Zilla managing to get a clean back red off, and now it's 6C that have a break in top 3 even with Ivan. A little bit unfortunate
Ghost
there.
Sisters down, Jeff.
Zilla
Again, this
falls
could
off
be a
after
swing.
Zilla falls off after that.
This could be a swing if MeWe has shock, but we'll have to see. Jack is holding the star, which could suggest that MeWe does have shock possibly, but we're gonna have to see. But Zilla's also slowing down, so this could be a 50-50 on who has it.
Oh, both have stars. This is gonna pretty much decide the whole race on whoever has shock. Miwi, I believe it's still chaining. I do think Johnny could have it. So depending on where they
Yeah.
use it, Zilla can absolutely catch up. Really, unfortunately, we don't have eyes in top 5 for now. But with MI both in 5 and 4 and 5 here, you do expect 60 to be in a much better slot. Zilla chaining a Mega as well afterwards, gonna take the cut, and that does look like a pretty decent race for 6C if Zilla can catch up. A bit of bug on the stream on our end, but I do think he ended up getting third, so that is 1-3 at the very least
Yeah.
for 6C. Winning race for them.
That was really good for 60 lap too. I believe they hit Winter and Tech Shocks there, and then the last MI member got hit a bit after, so that was a really good play by Brody, or a combination of Brody and Zilla, getting 3 of MI up there just to get into top 2.
Yeah, really good play by both of them here, but pretty. Oh, actually, Jack did end up keeping a spot on Zilla there, so 2-3-5-6. 2-3-5-6-10. Is that winning for MI once again?
Yes. I believe
Yeah.
it's should be a small winning race, I believe.
I wasn't sure if bagger points mattered, whether or not it was winning or losing in these spots, but definitely wouldn't surprise me. Either way, even with
Yeah.
the 6C shock there, MI is still holding on. As we said, they don't necessarily need shock to get a good race.
Yeah, they're just keeping their momentum with their track picks. Is exactly what they need. Again, match one's definitely the most important match out of the 3, so getting all their best tracks to get that 1-0 lead is definitely the main idea and goal in their heads, most likely.
Oh, actually, perfectly even race according to the calcs there, without the bagger points, though.
Mhm.
Pretty even there. Starry City Cape Marble Towers and the Rogue Rabbit Hole. But it seems that MI are just gifted at this point as they take the 4th track pick in a row on Starry Cityscape. Not like I'm used to seeing them play, actually, funnily enough. But really, it's not from experience.
Yeah. So
Blame
Brody's just
me being
gonna
in flag,
try keeping
probably.
one here.
Yeah, still a really good map for 2-3 there, as both 2-3 are going to be able to take the cut. And actually, Brody does stay in first there. Jack stuck between the dynamic duo of 6C with Zilla holding triple greens. That draft might end up allowing him to pass Brody. We have a bona fide 1v1 in the front there. Zilla maybe a bit afraid to shoot his greens out, considering that Brody is in between the two of them. But Jack ends up somewhat breaking away. Brody does end up drafting up into first. Still a really good 1v1 on the two of them. Ivan getting nanted out, but Jack without protection. Green goes tight, unfortunately, for Zilla's. Jack still being stuck in that 1v1. The draft on
Draft
a
gets
pretty
out.
tough section, but
Oh,
he
Brody
does end
messed
up
up, so he gets into Orton.
bumping out Brody with that draft and actually ended up first because of it. Jack wins this 1v1. Crazy 1v1 for the start of this race.
Yeah. I believe there's no top spot cut takers, so Jack should be keeping one. Nana's attempt, and they connect, so Zilla gets into one now. Really good Nanas. I think it's top 2 now with Brody in second. Yeah, Jack just fully dies now, so really
Yeah,
good play by Zilla to get back in top 2.
his stencil on the bump definitely doesn't help here, but yeah, Casper's Curse, unfortunately, Abel getting comboed right in front of him. A bit of a Casper's Curse on your end, as right as you mentioned that Zilla gets a great Nana snipe on the wall there, and 6C in a really good spot at this point. Zilla in first, Brody in second, Ivan in 4th place, as he does not stay behind Tech Shock. They're just trying to keep somewhat of a good line, but at this point you need a shock from Miwi to get back into the race. Granted, the cut at the end does save quite a bit, the shroom cut, but if you don't manage to catch up, it's not gonna matter at all. We do see Stubbs in 8th there with Johnny. He was in 10, but if he was the one that just got hit there, Miwi could be in 10 trying to get the shock. We're gonna have to see later
Yeah.
on. How could be pretty big there on the cut. We're gonna have to see.
See a T-Pow here, possibly. I believe
I was
no one is off, so...
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure who it hit, if anyone. Stubbs shrooming up into 6th place here. Top 2, 4, 6 here. Gets hit by that Nana, and Ivan doesn't get hit by that red, actually. Barely manages to get across the gap here, as Techrox is still holding up the fort in third. They're trying to catch up to the 60 top 2, but against Zilla and Brody, extremely tough to catch up on there, and I do think Johnny has the shock at this point as he stays behind. Oh, never mind, he's
Johnny's
mid-star.
I think we most likely has then. But
He just respawned, I
I'm
doubt
sure
it,
where they could
or that,
possibly.
or he just pulled it, Stubbs passing it back
Yeah, no, he
to
did
Jack
just
Canada.
respawn, yeah.
Passes
It's
it to
gonna be
Winter,
shockless,
and
but
that doesn't help much,
he
and
gets
Ivan
really bumped as well.
who doesn't get sniped out. That is top 2 for 7 for 60 as they finally managed to get a winning race over MI. Definitely not a sentence I would have expected to say at the start of this match, but great play by both teams there. Zilla getting a great snipe off the wall and giving his team top 2 off of that, which they managed to just keep all throughout as this race remained chalkless, even with Miwi being intense.
Yeah, those nans were key, and also that 1v1 at the beginning was very good for MI to get the star, just to get that top spot, but since
Yeah,
Jack was the only top spot, I believe, then it slowly fell apart there, but that was really good that 6C kept it shockless there, as that's all they need, because they debatably do have the better running power, so shockless again is all they need for these winning races.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we just saw it here with Brody and Zilla just staying in comfortably in top 2, Tech Trucks never being able to quite to catch back up to them. And 6C now 6 points ahead. Say that 10 times fast. As we go into the second GP. Speaking of which, Brody 52-point GP with his team barely ahead, definitely pulling his weight there. Obviously, pretty expected as one of the two big running duo of this team. Bluster, Blood Bluff, Color Wonderland. We mentioned specialty track picks at the start of this match, and here we see exactly that. And if 60 get Color Wonderland, they could run away with the match altogether. But MI, once again, getting the 5th track pick in a row at this point. Check these guys win.
check the host always wins.
Yeah, exactly. No,
Yeah, again,
seriousness.
it's really good for MI.
Bluster, Blood Bluff. We probably the only team that picks this. Is this controversial to say that they're the only team that picked this? I don't think it is. I don't think I've seen a single other team pick this in top 2 divisions at least.
I know, yeah, no. The only against MI. Every other team we played against during the regular season, this was not played. So this is definitely
Oh.
MI's biggest specialty track. So hopefully they could get the biggest race possible for their side.
Unfortunately, Jack was getting the triple shrooms, getting bumpy for the cuts, so not getting able to catch up as much as triple shrooms would indicate on that. Winter getting immediately sniped out with triple reds on the side of Zilla, getting both Jack and most likely Techtrox soon. Triple shrooms once again on the side of Jack Canada, as we did see a Bell run away for the time being, but Brody being hot on his trail. Zilla one last red to try and hit out Techtrox. It does connect, and Jack, a great low landing on his end. Abel having quite the lead already, actually. I do think if he has triple shrooms, there's a chance that he just runs away with this, but seeing on the mini map, he doesn't take the cut. Brody neither. So it could be a top 2 on the side of MI, as Jack beautifully takes that upper path. A lot more complicated than you might think from experience. Either way, MI now at a pretty solid top 2 as we go into second lap. And I do think I saw Winter in third, no?
Yeah, he is actually. Top 3 for MI right now. And Johnny is in 10 actually, so could see maybe a 6C pulling shock here.
Seems like one of the very few instances where 60 do need to get the shock here, as Zilla once again fails the low landing. That's one of the reasons why this track is surprisingly technical. The low landing at the end saves so much time if you can get it consistently. And MI, this being one of their most picked track picks, definitely all their members really consistent with it. Zilla proving my point that he doesn't quite manage to get the top path, Stubbs in third, but I don't know if he has the space to get up to top 2 at this point, as Zilla is stuck in a TT battle against Winter, and Winter does
Oh, and
manage
he
to
gets
get
past. But he
it. Great
passes it
pass,
back,
actually.
so yeah.
Great pass, but Stubbs still far in the back at this point, and with all the time that Zilla lost, he's not going to be able to help in that battle for top 2. So at this point, top 2 guaranteed secured for they already crossed the line. As I said, Ivan taking the cut there. We do see all of 60 in the mid spots there. If there is no MI shock, it should just be top 2, bottom 2, and it stays that way as MI have another winning race, though not as much as they probably would have wanted to.
Yeah, that's probably the best situation 60 could have gotten there. That's probably MI's best track, and they got only like a -3 or 5 race there. So I wouldn't be mad in that situation. I'd be going fine into the next race here.
Yeah,
Yeah, 3, 4,
absolutely.
5, 6, 9.
Only -3 race as we go into the halfway point of the war at this point. Am I just managing to get that top 2? We saw Abel just straight up running away with it. He was pretty much completely gone even at the start of lap 2. The only way Brody could have managed to catch up was with a Susui, and even then we just didn't see it happen, not pulling that shroom in second. And Jack was just able to follow up right after with that top path. So yeah, great play by MI overall, showing why they have this specialty track pick, but still 6C keeping those bottom spots at bay. And a shockless race definitely benefited 6C in that regard, because I'm pretty sure MI were just holding dodges in the back.
Yeah, I could have been a top 3 or even a top 4 if Shock was pulled, but now we're gonna see a switch up as 6C finally gets their first track pick after 6 races. So
Indeed, the rabbit hole, another pretty popular track pick by them. It was literally their first pick in the semifinals, if I'm not mistaken, and pretty confident that these players are extremely strong on it. Ivan having being quite the long-lasting player, having the experience of such an old custom track and being technical enough for Brody and Zilla to be really proficient on it. Jack is going to have a lot of work to do as he is in first at the exit of the first tunnel here, but the first cut is going to decide quite a bit. Possibly Jack does make it alongside Zilla, but in a much slower way. Zilla already in first after just the first strat here. Jack now in 5th place, but we do see a lot of MI behind Ivan and Zilla in top 2.
yeah, and
Do we
this shroom
see
kite here
Winter
could
with a
also
shroom?
decide.
Only Ivan
Ivan
shrooms
does
up.
have a shroom though. Yeah, we could see a top 2, 4, I believe now for 6C. Top 2, 4, 5 now.
Indeed, they're in an amazing spot at this point already as we go into the second half of lap 1. Brody does fall back quite a bit, possibly being hit out as Abel sneaks up into 5th place. Your bomb is being thrown up and actually did hit someone. I don't believe we saw it was probably an MI member. Brody does get the box kill off as well, and there's an immediate shock being used on the side of most likely I would assume.
Not
Either that or was
sure.
simply spammed. It could have possibly
Yeah,
been spammed.
see, we see MI in the back, so maybe an MI shock into set, but
Actually, I don't believe so. I believe Techshock is in first, possibly being the only dodger. So I think just Techshock possibly indived it to get into first place. You're
yeah,
breaking that top spot, but there's an immediate blue on him. The early shock not paying off for MI here, as he's going to get blued right before the strat as well. That is possibly the worst point to get shocked, to get blued, sorry, as you don't have the speed for the strat, or it makes it a lot more difficult, and Techshock loses a lot of time on it. Ivan does get into first place as Jack gets nanoed before the Stratzilla, going to get mega'd and redded right afterwards. We do see MI in 3-4-5 at this point, but 6C in top 2 for the time being.
up dodge comes out with a bomb. He's gonna back.
Oh, that was
Good play by
an
Jack here. Really
amazing
good
play by
play.
Jack. No one taking their shroom cut once again in the top 4. And Ivan is in 4th, so actually it should be a 2-3 on the side of MI. Indeed, as we go up the beanstalk here, start dodging up, it is going to be Zilla, as they are back in 3 of the top 5 slots, with Jack going to try and contest with that triple shroom, most likely going to be able to do so.
We could see maybe 60 holding blue as well, but pretty mixed spots right now, so
do want to mention that
But this blue could be.
the baggers are running forward as well, and with Jack hopping into cuts. Oh, never mind. They're both sitting at the set. The mini map was a bit difficult to read, but MI with that golden from Jack are now in 2-3-4 as Brody is pretty gone in first at this point without another blue. I highly doubt that he managed to pass them. Abel with triple greens has quite the mission ahead of him. Gonna try and hit out Zilla, possibly to get, but it seems like he just hits the card instead. Unfortunately, getting hit
Oh,
out
and
there
Jack
and
gets
Tech
greens as
Trucks.
well.
I don't know if that was by Tech
One
Trucks or
three,
just
one three
very
four
late
for
by
6C
Brody.
now.
Shock
Shot comes
happens but
out.
doesn't Zilla. It is a no dodges so far, it seems, or at least no one coming up, as it is still 1-3-4 for 6C. If that was an MI shock, it was too little, too late. But I don't know if Jack got hit by a late green by Brody or by Tech Trucks by a miscommunication. I'm not exactly sure there.
Yeah, it looked like it looked like a random green just for how fast it was going. I don't think it was a back green unless Brody threw it off the wall forward, which that could have been the case, but
1-3-4-5 even. I think that was a 60 shock, and Ivan dodging in the back at the end there. Massive race for 60 as they now extend their lead. And as I feared and as I voiced earlier on, 60, the moment they get their specialty pick, it's a lot more hurtful than it could be by MI standards, as they're now up 22 going past the halfway point in the war into race 7.
yeah, if you're MI here, they should focus on just forgetting about that race and just moving on since they're still keeping it close here, which is exactly what you need. And their belief shot count is in their favor right now, so it's nothing to stress about. Yeah, and again, we're seeing another staple of a Blizzard Bluff here. I believe the only team as well that picks. I don't see any other team that picks Blizzard Bluff, unless I'm
At least
wrong. But
not in top divisions, at least with the Rogue Wicked
yeah,
Wood there. And Blizzard Bluff, we're back to the MI track picks here, but there's one thing I want to point out. As I mentioned before the match, those map 1 track picks, you are not going to be able to see them during match 2, so MI are going to be down a lot of power going into match 2, simply due to how many of their really strong specialty picks they have managed to come out during this first match. So
this
if they
is
don't
their
win match
match.
1, yeah.
This is their match to really go all for it because again, yeah, match one advantage is the most important advantage here, and he gets a slip drift into a wall and gets punished, and
The green connecting through
TC
the
battle
triple
goes in.
res. Yeah, Winter
Yeah.
in 8th here. Let's switch POVs over. Let's switch over POVs as Winter does get the start there, so possibly going to try and catch back up. Blue coming out on Tech Trucks once again. Second time he gets blued right after passing a member of 6C. Jack Canada not getting hit by that POW and getting triple shrooms out of it. Jack Can now in a winning position here. Brody going to try and hit him out with triple greens. Doesn't quite manage to do so. Ivan gets a shroom there, possibly dodged the POW with it, but that is going to be the only shroom that he has, most likely, as Jack still has one for the cut next lap. So at this point, it's just a matter, not even needed, as another blue is thrown out, and this time it is on MI's side, but Jack having 3 members of MI, of 60, sorry, hot on his trail. Let's switch over POVs really quickly to Zilla in the mid-pack, or the back cap, rather, as we see Ivan actually getting hit out in 7th place. So really good race for MI for now, it looks like.
I believe both baggers are still sitting, so it's still shockless. So it's just up to who pulls shrooms here in the mid pack. But Jack does take cuts, so it should be a pretty safe first for MI.
Should be at the
And
very
there
least.
should be no shot coming out. So
Oh, the
this could
target
be a good
POW
race
onto
for
Zilla.
MI.
The
This
target
could be
POW
a
onto
really good
Zilla
race
there.
for MI, actually.
Definitely looks like it, but we see a lot of
Um,
MI in the back. We see Winter and Abel.
yeah,
If
that's
they don't manage
true.
to catch up in this last stretch, it's 4, 5, it's 5, 6, 7 for MI. It's 2, 3, 4 for 6C. It's actually winning for 6C as they
Yeah,
go past the line. The rest of MI just couldn't catch up.
that was the best race that they could have asked for there. Since Jack just had that triple shrooms pull he pulled lap 2 was the race decider. And again, shockless is exactly what 6C needs in these races.
Absolutely, but yeah, that's really unfortunate that Jack was just the only one that managed to catch up there. The T-Pow on Zilla did secure 8th, but unfortunately, it just wasn't enough to get any member of 6C out of that 2, 3, 4 spots. And now you're in a spot for MI. You're closing on down on GP2. You're down around 30 at this point. Yeah, 25, closing up. You're down 25. Your three biggest tracks are taken off entirely. Halogen Highway, pretty much the only one remaining, and it's pure running. And now you're in a pretty tough spot there, as if you're staring down match 2 without any of those picks, if you don't win this match 1, you're in a really tough spot in this finals.
Yeah, since 6C still has their Color Wonderland and Marble Towers picks, which is debatably their two strongest running tracks. And if it doesn't get picked here in match 1 while also winning, this could be already a bad sign for what to come and then the following
Absolutely.
match. So
Glimmer Express Trains, another extremely technical track pick, not necessarily a specialty one, seeing how many how many teams pick it in general, but still extremely good for a really strong technical team like 6C here. We're gonna have to see in third burning out, actually, not able to take the mountain, I was about to say, and simply going to be stuck in the
yeah.
back 16, bottom 2 already, as we see MI moving up as a unit and hitting out Zilla as well right before the main cut. Jackan does take it as well, Abel in second. I do think Brody either got hit or is simply off in some way, as Abel is now 1v1ing Ivan for the top spot.
Yeah, it's gonna be really important to see who pulls shrooms here. If Abel even has shrooms in second, which could be really good for them. But Zilla is getting TC'd right now, so you're gonna see 60 in bottom 2 now, actually. Jack's the
Jack
first cut taker, so we're gonna see him getting
only
into first here.
only cut taker in the top spot, but that's the only thing that you need at this point. Jack once again being the lone warrior of MI in the front. Ivan right behind him. A red hot on his trail thrown by Abel. Not is Winter taking the not Winter. Is Ivan taking the cut here? It doesn't seem like it. No, simply stuck in
No.
second for now, as Stubbs joined him in 2-3 as well. That was Brody, I believe. Never mind, not Stubbs. Either way, Jack still in first for the time being. Zilla stuck in 7th for now, behind the MI traffic in 4, 5, 6.
I believe it's still looking shockless right now, which is fine for 6C, but Backgreen comes up on Zilla, so he's forced to burn Shroom. I believe they're bottom 2. I'm not sure who's an 8, but yeah, they are
It
bottom
is
2 right
bottom 2.
now.
It is bottom 2. It is Stubbs in
Yeah.
8th for now. Tech
Oh,
Rock,
Tech Shock pulls Red 0. He does
that is
hit him.
absolutely massive. If Stubbs doesn't have a star there, it could be massive,
Oh,
and
and he
yeah,
gets
he gets
Stubbs
redded
off
off.
as well.
Massive
So
play by Tech
gone
Rock
bottom 2
there.
right now. Oh, but Tech
Ooh, and
Shock's
falls
is off himself.
falls up right after, but I don't think it really. He got what he wanted at this point. Zilla and Stubbs are pretty much too far gone. That POW possibly the only item that could have helped there, but that is at my top 2. It looks like, and with that POW, there's pretty much no room. It's going to be up to Brody and Ivan, and both of them take the cut as well. That's top 2 now for 6C as they're holding blue. This is the worst possible scenario for MI.
Need to see some type of Nana Snipe here from Jack here on the ramp. Could maybe see an attempt on Ivan,
Brody
but it does
holding those
not
triple nanas really
come out.
close, trying to get Ivan as much of a break as possible, even with the blue shell. The red being thrown, not going to connect, and 60 with just a single POW, the only power item that Zilla could have pulled in this instance, alongside the blue shell. I just realized he pulled both in a row. Um, pretty much the only power item that could have helped turn the race around altogether. Jack gonna try and throw it onto the ramp there, not gonna connect onto Ivan as we go across the last straight. POW on landing, going to connect. Banana on
Oh, and he
landing, connecting
gets
on the
hit.
Brody as well.
Oh, but there's
Bomb
a
snipe!
bomb. Oh, the MI's 2-3 now, I believe.
Massive
Yeah,
bomb snipe by
2-3. That
Winter.
yeah,
2, 3,
even
5,
race.
6. 2, 3, 5, 6 on the side of MI. So if they win the bagging battle, that's actually a winning race for them.
Yeah, that bomb snipe is the he decided to win that race. There it was just gonna look like a top 2. I believe that was an MI POW as well, since Jack was called in the air there, but And
that was
especially that
indeed.
he landed on the Nano. That bomb was the saving the saving race decider there.
Absolutely, taking the words right out of my mouth there. And unfortunately, Johnny does win the batting battle, so it is going to be an even race for MI. But yeah, the landing on that Nana there pretty much would have sealed that top two from 6C if not for that bomb snipe by Winter. Absolutely massive play by him for his team there. Brody, 91 points in 8 races, pretty much running away with this, being 20 points ahead of the second place player, showing exactly why both he and Zilla had such high points on average during the regular season as we go into the third GP. Finally, sort of a break for MI on a 60 track pick, but you still have an entire GP and 22 points left to catch up.
Yeah, what they need here now is to get these chained chain track picks here at this point. Since they're only down by a little bit, they just need to put all they have of what tracks they have left into this match.
In Yokupa
And
City, an
if
extremely
6C and if 6C starts chaining their track picks, then we could see a big swing in momentum because they still have majority track picks for match 2.
Yokupa City, another track pick for MI. Lost Fortress definitely is another one of 6C extremely strong track picks that we didn't mention, though this one is far more common, as is Neokupa City. But for Neokupa City especially, the line in first is particularly horrid, so 2-3 might have a chance to catch up right away, but it does seem as if Ivan was able to keep first for now. Zilla with the Shroom and the Draft going to try and catch back up. 6C in top 2 now with Zilla and Ivan. Zilla leaving space for Ivan, not wanting to catch the Draft immediately. The red is going to be trailed as Winter has triple reds coming up there, hitting stubs already as we come into the S-bend, but for now they should be safe enough, and triple nanas is exactly what you need to keep that top 2.
Yeah, what Tech Trucks needs here is some type of play beer, but since the trail nanas, we're just gonna see. Oh, I think Zill just had a misdrift there, but should be keeping second. There, yeah, he is, and Bell's passing the TC to Jack.
You
Not
need
sure
to
his
hold on.
intent. I think Miwi's slightly in 10. No, Johnny's slightly in 10. And top 2 still for 6C, yeah. But these short runs could be really good if he gets closer. Should be
You
running
should be able
stubs
to hit up
here.
stubs, yeah. Should be able
Yeah.
to hit him out, but I think at this point Zilla and Ivan have enough of a break that no matter the amount of reds you throw at them, they should be fine still. As Jack throws his last one backwards towards Brody, the lone member of MI in top 5 at this point, pulling out triple reds once again. It's unfortunate to see such item luck, but not really helping that much. Zilla in the longest straight of the track, actually being the only one that would connect here as he breaks into that top 2. Ivan still having quite the break in second place there. That room would have been really useful to pull about a second ago, still trying to bridge the gap between him and Ivan as much as possible. Johnny still being, both baggers actually going forward, so if Johnny does have shock already, this could be pretty much a guaranteed winning race on the side of 6C. Pau going to be
Ooh,
pretty
Pau
rough,
comes out. It's
rough on
it's
Ivan.
more rough for Ivan, so we could. Oh, blue, I think. There could be maybe a blue.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
slows
there
down
is a
to the
blue.
blue. Been
If he
holding
gets
that blue
comboed
for a
here,
while
he
and gets
does get
comboed as
comboed.
well. That's top 3 at the very least for 6C, bottom 3 for MI. This
Top 3,
is
5 for 6C. Oh, wait,
horrendous.
Zilla's off. Zilla's off.
Zilla's
Zilla's
off?
off in 8th. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think
got
Zilla got
bumped
bumped
off.
off to the left there. Yeah. So instead of a top 3-5, it's still a top 3-8, but still massive race on a MI track pick.
I don't know if it's top 3-8. It might be even top 2-4-8 or something along those lines because I believe
Yeah,
Zilla was maybe
sure.
in that top 3. But either way, either way, still a pretty big race for 60. Just unfortunate for Zilla diving off at the end there. Yeah, indeed, 1, 3, 4,
Oh,
8.
Tech Trucks gets second, actually.
Yeah. Zilla was
Only
in
one,
second.
three,
I assume
four.
Tech Rock just managed to shroom up at the end there. But yeah,
Yeah.
still a massive race for 60 as we have only 3 races left. For MI, it's pretty much now or never.
Yeah, they need to get a massive race here, as if even races are not going to cut it, especially after this one. It's only going to be 2 races, so they'll need another staple track pick here. but not sure what they can go with. But while 6C
Yeah.
still have a lot of track, they still have Color, Marble, and Lost Fortress.
At this point, you're starting to ask which one will they pick. Medieval Castle Grounds is one they're used to pick, and trying something else. Woohoo Island is one I did not
Woohoo
consider, but it's
Island.
also an option. Definitely not another showcase of their rather peculiar track pick, as most other teams would rather go for the other Woohoo variation. But
Oh
Island
yeah,
is going to be good for
we can volunteer on that with we can volunteer. I think we're the only team that picks that actually.
Fair enough. Well, in Division 1 maybe, but of the
Yeah,
two, I know most teams would prefer Mountain as Marble Towers gets picked, and unfortunately, it is going to be 60 getting their second track pick in 10 races, but definitely one of the scariest ones to go up against, especially if you're already fighting an uphill battle in this instance. Both of our
main
POV stuck.
decider of this race. It's probably gonna be his first shroomless cut here,
Yeah.
right after the cannon. Whoever
Yeah.
makes this will
Yeah,
be
I was about to
key
say
here.
switch POV to Zilla most likely, as he does go for it alongside Brody, and Brody actually fails it, but Zilla makes it and has a star in one off of it. Brody and Zilla possibly the two most consistent players on that cut, and Zilla shows it beautifully with a star in first position at this point, and already trying to star out Winter, just trying to make sure they don't have a chance to catch back up. Winter trying to dodge as much as possible, going too tight
Oh, he
off it.
does get
Actually,
starred actually.
yeah, does get started. We saw on the minimap, and now Zilla is pretty much broken away in first place. Jack Canada gonna try and shroom up in 7th place, but we see a lot of MI in the back. Winter dodging that bomb there as another one is thrown upwards, not gonna connect onto Brody there in the end, as that is a 6C top 4 as we go into lap 2.
If you're MI here, you are praying you have shock here, but there is a one of the baggers is going forward, or actually no, never mind, but no
It's
shock
going
does come out, so we're gonna keep a top 4. And actually, Johnny is in 10 actually right now, yeah, so this could be really huge for 6C if they keep it shot,
oh,
but Zilla's off in 1,
possibly
so
there was a POW. There was a POW, so I do think he just
yeah,
got POW'd off possibly. But that is still top 4 for 60 regardless. Jack does have 2 shrooms, so should be able to
that's
catch up to
true.
Zilla at the very least. Alongside Winter, actually, Zilla is gonna have a lot of work to do. Star goes wide, so it could be a potential option, the ground star, if they do have the shock there. Zilla, great play by Schlagging there, but triple red is going to punish him, but at this point he's done enough. Top 3 is pretty much broken away, as Zilla does get hit out into 5th, 6th even, as the top 3 is pretty much broken away. If there's a 60 shock, I would expect it into 3 here in that 10, and we're going to have to see if both players go in at the same time. It doesn't go, if anything, but it seems like either they're holding it, or there is simply 0 shock, because you would have expected MI to use it otherwise. Zilla holding on to that blue shell. Thank you, Masako, for showing us that, which means he's most likely going to stay in 8th the entire time, but he's done more than enough as the 60 top 3 continues to grow. Ivan actually losing quite a bit of time as Abel takes those reds out on him. MI now in 3-4, right as I say this. Mega goes through for Jack, no shock still, so you would assume that 60 is simply holding on to it for the end of the race. Blue ends up being thrown at Brody. Doesn't really matter, he's too far gone to really change anything at that point. Zilla was likely just trying to chain some items in the low spots here. Jack chaining that Mega, but not doing anything to favor him. Will we see a late 60 dodge? We're gonna have to see. Let's
It's
switch
not
over to
looking
Zilla's
like
POV
it's
really quickly. Doesn't look like it indeed, as that is top 268, but that is all you need if you're Sixth Sense at this point.
yeah, just these small winning races. And even though it's one of their key tracks, it's still fine, you know. At least as long as they keep their winning races or even races, they should have this match in the bag, but there's still 2 races left, and we could, again, this is Mario Kart, so we could see anything happen here from MI, but we need it to happen this next race, or else match 1 is looking like wraps.
Does indeed look pretty rough for MI at this point. Brody now up to 114 points. Masterclass by him in this first match, as we still have 2 races left. Um, Yeah, as you mentioned, that is that is at very least one flagship track of 60 off of the board as they're now up 36. You need on average plus 18 on both races, but if 60 get even a single point winning race on this race 11, it's pretty much curtains for MI. We rarely see all runs work, so it is still possible if it is an even race, but it's looking more and more unlikely by the minute. BTS and Flying Kingdom coming out alongside a Rogue, Frantic, Funyard, but it seems that Mr. Bean has dealt a better hand for 60 on this third GP as Flying Kingdom is picked.
Honestly, a pretty ambitious track pick with this much of a lead. And again, Flying King is a pretty staple 6C track, but we'll see what they can do on this. I would have saved it personally, but
I think they're pretty confident that they have more than enough. You gotta remember, they still have Color Wonderland, they still have Vanish Key, they still have so many of their technical track picks left to go. Spooky Swamp is another example of that. So they probably just think they need to just secure the win, guarantee no holds barred, no nothing happening. But so much happening in the mid pack already as Zilla breaks into second place here. But we see a lot of MI up there. Pow coming out, Abel dodges it through the air there as Zilla is forced to go around Triple Nanas as he actually hops over the boost panel. Unfortunately, Abel now pretty much broken away. Nana's possibly being thrown up as MI is holding on to that blue as well. That's exactly what you need. Going to try and secure that first place as much as possible. I do believe that is an MI member with the PC besides Jack, unfortunately. So it looks like Abel is pretty much gone as the sole member. Oh, actually, never mind. Winter is right behind him as well, and Texrox. Never mind, that was a 60 member. So am I actually in an amazing spot as we go into this first room list?
the Shrimus here is very key. Let's see if Zilla is able to make this. Oh, he hop tricks
Oh,
the wrong way, but he's not off the track. I've never seen anyone hop trick the other way before, honestly, but back greens do
back
come
green.
out.
It is going to connect onto Jack at least, but as a top two for MI, a rare mistake on that cut on the side of Zilla. He's probably one of the most consistent players on that cut, to my knowledge, and that just gives so much of a lead on the side of MI. Brody, granted, is pretty close behind them in top two, and we do know how rare Shock is on this track simply due to how bagging on this track works. In particular, Zilla being bumping into the wall. Just a few driving mistakes here, but they do pile up as he's now pretty gone from Brody. 60 and 345 there, triple reds. Unfortunately, he's surrounded by teammates. Can't really do much about that as Stubbs gets yet another TC on this section. Will he be able to pass the Jack? Doesn't seem like it. Blue is still held on the side of Jack Canada. Winter getting a box in six. Are going to try and catch up as much as possible. Ivan passing his teammate with some shrooms and hopefully going to have some more for the cut. Another set of triple reds. Going to possibly try and back the members of MI in 6-7 here, but without any shock, it still looks like a pretty decent race for 6C. We're going to have to see if anyone ends up failing the cut here. Doesn't quite look like it's still like making the cut using the Mega right after as Blue gets used here, gonna protect his teammates by taking it on the line, but that is only top 2, 6, 7 for MI, and that still looks pretty rough going into the last race. Oh, top 2, 6, 8, or top 2, 7, 8 even, as Jack does end up getting 8th there, so even worse to wear as we go into race 12.
Yeah, they'll definitely need. Not sure if it'll be over or under 31 for that all run rule, but they'll definitely need a minimum top 3-6 or even
Uh,
more to see
with top 2,
a
6,
win
8,
here,
9,
but
top 2, 6, 8, 9, I do think it's under 31 at the very least. So it is possible with the top 4, 9, if my calculations are not wrong, which they hopefully shouldn't be. Um, but yeah, the 60 is still in a pretty commanding lead going into race 12. That Flying Kingdom race not going the way they wanted, as MI actually managed to just take that top 2 and stick to it for most of this, as they are still up 39. That looks wrong. I'm not either. Either way, I'm surprised, but maybe I just calculated wrong on my end. But either way, Plus 39, it seems, going to the last race. Wicked Woods BC4 being our last track pick of this match here. BC4 pretty much going to guarantee secure the win there if you're 60. But Wicked Woods is the track picked by MI to finish this off. We're going to have to see if Miwi ends up running this or if he stays back. But either way, we need a really big race for MI if we want them to see a point on their board before match 2.
So I believe if we're looking, I believe MI has 326 points, according to fixed mass. So I think they're only down 19 actually, and 60 with
That does
345. So
that does sound a lot closer than what that does sound a lot similar to what I thought at the very least, and that would explain why neither bagger hesitated and just immediately going backwards with Jack immediately pulling that bill, and that's going to be a math, and it's gone.
and the bomb is, and the bill is gone, but that's very good for 60 is now.
It
Shock
does a
wouldn't
triple red
be
bull, so.
guaranteed for MI here. So assuming that MI is down 19, they will need at least a top 3-7 here to get a
They'll
win.
get
But
a
Zill is
beautiful
sniped
snipe.
by a bell. And now
That's a
MI are
triple
top
coming up
2,
there.
but Brody's shrooming. He's in the off-road actually, so MI's gonna be top 2 entering lap 2 here.
Possibly overestimating the shroom by a little bit, as unfortunately it seems the stream is stuttering a bit. That red is going to connect by Tektrox, and that is now top 3 on the side of MI, as there is a TC battle going in the back there. Tektrox going to be on the losing end of that. Let's quickly check onto Jack just to see what it looks like in the front, but it looks like a lot of MI as we see 60 in 4, 5, 6, 7 at this point. Jack is going to have a big job to do in hitting up the 60 members to try and keep that lead. There's a Mega in 4th place, and there's a shock
Oh, an
on
early
the
shock
side
from
of
6C
Johnny.
comes out.
That is a double dodge and a TC pass, and Jack is off. That's a massive turnaround on the side of 6C there, as both of our POVs are unfortunately in bottom 2, so we're going to have to stick by it for a little bit, but that could very well be the thing that completely decimates that MI's chances of walking away with a point there. We do see Stubbs in 4th place there as 3 MI members in 5, 6, 7. You need their last member to be in a really big top spot to try and make it through the race, through this match here. But it seems
There's a
that
blue
there's
that
no one
comes
catching up for
out.
now. We do
Who does
see a
come out?
blue
Winter
hitting.
is in 2nd, I believe.
Yeah,
So.
actually, he had. Oh, never mind. That is Winter that actually got
Oh,
hit
but he
out
gets hit
by
out,
Ivan.
so 60 is still top 2.
You would
The
need
only
another
chance of a
blue.
win here is either a shock or they pull a shock here, or they need a blue instantly, but it's
And
not
Winter gets
looking like
backed out as
it.
well. No box on the side of Jack Canada. That looks like a loss to me, unless Tektrox can pull a miracle with something like triple greens or something along those lines. But it does look pretty cocked to me. Brody doesn't get hit out regardless. There's a shock coming out, but
Oh,
it's
shock comes out, but it's too late.
too little too late there, as MI ends up in 3, 4, 5, and 60 win the first match of the Division 1 finals. And as expected as it was, MI did put up quite the fight, I will say, even down to the last race. It always was close, so I'm hopeful that they're going to be able to put out at least 1 point going into these finals. But using up so much of their track pool, it's looking really rough for them going into match 2.
Yeah, they had the early lead from their track pick chains, but as soon as 60 started to get their track picks in, a lot of those races were shockless, so that's where 60 really turned the momentum there. And again, that's all they need here to get these wins as a staple team like them. And especially in match 2 now, they're gonna have the advantage here as they still have many track picks, as you said, Color Wonderland, Vanish Keep, Lost Fortress.
Yeah, a lot of tracks that were in
Mhm.
the track selection screen, but not on the racetrack itself. I do want to point out the 136 on the side of Brody and 104 on the side of Ivan. Not the top two you expected, but Brody being absolutely dominant during this match, posting up a 130 in D1 finals is no small feat. And yeah, that is absolutely what you expected of a player of this caliber. But yeah, as we mentioned, 6C being in a pretty decent spot for this match 2 here with a lot of their track pool remaining. Am I definitely going to have to go deep into their bag of tricks there going into match 2. Halogen Highway is one I do expect if they end up in the front there. But yeah, it's looking pretty rough, but hopefully they can manage to pull something out here as we go into match 2. I do want to point out as well that, as you mentioned, uh, stock counts seemed pretty even to me at the very least. It did seem pretty even to me, and on MI's track picks as well. So Johnny definitely performing quite a bit during this match, it looks like.
Yeah, sh most of the looking to second half of the war, honestly looked like most of the races were shockless entirely, but that's good when it comes to 60 there. But again, very competitive bagging battle. So it's entertaining to see lots of momentum swings mid races as one team isn't just running away with shot count right now.
Yeah, you did mention it was a game of momentum in general at the start of match 1, but it definitely didn't feel as much like it as it should have. Both teams getting winning races all throughout. MI getting the lead early, but 60 with one swift blow due to Rabbit Hole managing to catch back up and keeping that lead all throughout. But it did come close. That wicket was raced without an early shock from 6C could have looked a lot different there, but that double dodge on the side of Brody and Ivan to get top 2 was more than enough. Even with the blue shell there, Brody was just too far gone, and Ivan hitting out Winter just pretty much sealed that deal. So pretty dominant showing on a track, on a newer track that a lot of teams may not be as comfortable playing in as 6C was.
But going into the next match, we're gonna hope that shot count is more favorable for MI, as now they have less tracks. They can't really rely on track picks anymore. They might have to start relying on shocks now to bail them out
What is that tweet?
on these races, as we're probably going to see a dominant 6C sort of track selection this match. So
Yeah, gonna see who ends up coming out on top, but Miwi needs to work overtime at this point, that's for sure. I do think that's once again 6C is definitely looking to cement themselves as the still being as dominant as they were in the previous era of CTL. They're coming into CTC, not being as hot as they were during the CTL days, possibly coming back into their usual lineup since they haven't played in official matches during the last season of CTL. So possibly needing a bit of time to warm up there, losing to MI during the regular season, but being now back up to a similar form, and at the very least showing that they were feared during the CTL days for a reason.
but honestly, I might kept it pretty close though. It's only 26, and again, shock and track picks were pretty even, so it's not all hope lost for MI. They can still maybe pull a miracle out here in match 2. We're definitely
Yeah.
not going to see any blowouts or anything happen.
Oh, I doubt it. Seeing how the first
Yeah.
match went, unless 6C managed to get some rather insane running track chains, I do think it will still be a close match to watch out for, though I will say the Lost Fortress first pick looking pretty scary there in 135. I do expect that's usually what they go in odds from the match that I've seen of them. So definitely looks pretty scary. They're all comfortable with the mega box strats and just in general driving a really technical track. As always, when it comes to 6C, it pretty much feels like either they have extremely classic running track picks such as BC4 or just extremely technical tracks that they can just run away on through raw running power. and hopefully MI can manage to catch a little bit of a break through track picks, shocks, or simply getting the edge in raw playmaking, because we did see flashes of extremely good playmaking on their end. We did mention the bomb snipe at the end of Glimmer Express trains, for example, just a lot of slagging as well, a lot of good item play on MI there. That is probably their main strength coming into this. It's just that they have extremely consistent item play and possibly one of the strongest in the league altogether.
Yeah, they were definitely controlling most of the mid pack of these races. It was just a matter of can they get their top two out, because most of the races just seemed like 6C were top two and then kind of sitting in 6-8 or just two bottom spots. And MI are definitely honestly better at the mid pack, but in this match they're probably gonna have to focus on getting Zilla and Brody mostly out of top two as quick as possible. Especially that's most likely gonna be a lost fortress, since they're 1-3 here. And if it does pick the 60 track pick, so there's 10 in room, so should be seeing it start very soon, and it does start, so match 2 on our way. And if we're MI, and if I was MI, I'd be praying that they get the track pick here. And I just thought Zilla was about to go me mock bike there after he got was down.
No, let's stay serious. We're still in D1 finals. You may have won convincingly on mostly your opponent's track picks, but let's be serious here as we go into the second match. No, that I would not be surprised to see Zilla go for that. In all honesty, he's probably one of the only CT players that would go for this in D1 finals. But regardless, yeah, you are hoping that one of either shocks or track picks comes your way, and the first one is going to be decided within the first few seconds. Lost Fortress, as we thought, is going to be picked up. Garden of Dreams, more convenient, no, more pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? Pretty typical track pick from them, as Garden of Dreams is pretty popular among other CT teams, not just MI.
Yeah, it's definitely more picked in the lower divs. I don't really see Garden of Dreams get picked that much higher div, but it is going to be the Lost Fortress pick that we've been foreshadowing for the last 10 minutes, and Jack needs to get a bump out of Zilla here. Kind of pretty quickly here just to get him out first, and yes, does keep one.
Does manage it. Pretty good line for one, but he does get side-redded actually. Surprisingly so, given how it looked on our screen there, but Zilla now forced in 7th, probably gonna have to take the shroom cut. He does catch up to Winter, but he has now a long way to go, as we see 3 of MI's members in the top 4, I believe, with Tektrox, Jack, and Abel, to my knowledge, being in first place for now. One last shroom for Zilla, as he's now on the rail. They're gonna try and catch up as much of a lead. Actually, there's Brody in first. Never mind. That is a misread on my end, as 6C now in top 3 with Zilla. Gonna pass that TC off to Tektrox. Will he manage to get the Mega Box? It doesn't look like it. Tektrox is going to be forced with that TC, as Jack makes his way into third place. Zilla hot on his trails with the Mega. The Nana not gonna connect. Chaining the POW there. Gonna try and make sure none of them take the Shroom cut, as Ivan did have a Shroom saved up. But Zilla with the Mega behind him is pretty much guaranteeing a 6C top 3 if we don't see a Shroom come out of Jack right now, and it doesn't seem likely, as Zilla makes his way up into third place. And now we have a match on our hands. And top 4 actually, as the red does skip Zilla and is most likely going to hit Stubbs, but top 4 for the 6C core as we go into the second half of lap 2. And Stubbs is off that red that was foreshadowed earlier. Definitely a really strong start for 6C there.
Yeah, I believe Miwi is in 10 right now, yeah, but seems shockless, but in this situation, MI is pretty desperate for it.
Yeah. You need the shock to catch back up. We talked about it early in the match. 60 is the sort of team that when they have the shock, it's to stabilize. And sometimes against 60, you need that shock just to get back into this race here. But if they do get it, Jack having a star in 5th can absolutely be a menace with that, but we just saw Miwi respawning, so it doesn't seem likely for now. Jack forced to use that star to not gamble off of the shock there. A Mega behind him, bomb being thrown up, but it's going to go way too wide as Brody doesn't land the greens there. Jack still in 4th there behind the 6C top 3. Brody making it onto the rail. Winter barely not getting hit by his teammate there, but 6C just holding onto that lead, keeping it going. Stubbs making his way into 6th as well. If there's no late MI shock, this looks pretty much done for MI here. Brody does get a TC in, or does it last the whole way? I do think it does, and that
It
is going
does,
to
yeah.
be... And Stubbs actually makes his
Top
way
4, I
with a
think.
bill. It is the top 4 as Stubbs makes his way with the bill at the end. Top 4 to start this match off by 6C. Not what you want to see at all if you're MI.
Yeah, I mean, keeping that race shockless, but I believe it was a shock 9 from Johnny, but again, it was shockless until middle of lap 3, so that's exactly what 6C needed. And again, just them being able to pull the mega boxes, I believe, helped them break away. I believe Ivan wasn't first, so assuming that he did get the mega boxes, that just helped him stay in the front there.
That seemed pretty likely, but even then, as you mentioned, 6E, if they pulled the shock, even if they pulled the shock earlier, or MI, if they pulled the shock later, wouldn't have really mattered in the end. The moment Jack used that star in the cut, it was pretty much going to be guaranteed to be a 60 winning race as long as there weren't too many, too many power items being pulled, not too many blues, not too many power blocks. As Color Wonderland is picked, Woohoo Island on the side of MI, and this alone could be a track pick that defines the momentum of this entire match if Color Wonderland gets picked.
Yeah, and that's true. If Color does get picked, we're gonna just see MI desperately trying to shroom up here.
Lost
And
Fortress.
And there's the lone Incendia pick, but it's going to be Color Wonderland, so MI
Not
needs to make sure that they get boxes here. First,
yeah. This is do or die for MI. If you don't break the top spot on this track early, you will have to rely on power items. There's no catch-up potential on this. One of the 60 members being Stubbs burning out at the start, but it is intentional. You want to make sure you get that box 10 to try and deny shock as much as possible. Jack can have forced his way into 2nd place as Zilla makes the cut immediately, possibly being the only player alongside Brody to make it
and
instantly. And
green
there's
connects.
amazing green snipe by Brody there, breaking back into top 3, and the back green connecting onto 2 MI members as well. And right as I mentioned, not letting 60 take the lead, top 3 already has a massive break as Winter is going to be forced to eat that CC as well. Never mind, comes back onto Jack, but the result remains the same. Top 3-5 for 60, and I'll be honest, folks, we could pretty much stop commentating this race right then and there, and the results would be very similar at the very least.
Yeah, if you're MI here, Miwi needs to be spamming those boxes instantly, but seems like it's shockless though, so if you're MI, you're just praying that you pull shock here. And for 6C, it's just praying that 5 blues don't get pulled, but pretty low chance of that happening, so...
It would be the number that you would need, seeing the sheer break. I will just let you folks watch the minimap and see the break that First has right now. Considering how much of a break he does, Sparkster isn't exaggerating. You would need something like 5 blues in order to catch back up at this point. Jack chaining as many shrooms as he wants to, but given all the boost pads and the trick ramps on this map, all the shrooms in the world don't really make that much of a dent in the lead of Ivan here. as Tekrox is Zilla still in first place. It was either him or Ivan, wasn't quite sure which one. Tekrox still in third, gonna try and catch back up. Jack does make his way into fourth place, passing Brody there. A bomb blowing up right on his tail, but the top two still having quite the break as both baggers are still chaining. Never mind, one of the baggers did go past the set, not exactly sure if that does mean Shock is pulled. Never mind, both respawned. It is going to be Shockless, and it's going to be top two on the side of 60 at the very least. That TC not quite mattering. As the
Oh, but
was
Jack gets
pulled
blue
by
on the
60.
line.
Blue gets
Oh,
pulled
that
by
is
60.
really
I think that's top
unfortunate.
3. I do believe that's top 3-6 for 60. The result that we did end up predicting in the end. Brutal, ruthless, expected from 60 on Color Wonderland.
At least Stubbs was, I believe that was Stubbs' blue just because Brody had triple reds around in fifth, so unlikely that he got the blue out that quickly. But Brody did fall off at the beginning of lap 3. There was respawn, which is how they got into 3-4, but it did not matter as late blue. And actually, Texas
Tekrox did
gets
get third.
third. Yeah, so
And Stubbs gets
top
8th, actually.
248 is a big race, but it's not the worst, obviously, when it comes to 60 and Color Wonderland.
Definitely not. You can thank Brody's unfortunate respawn there for that, and Stubbs holding the blue for that long, causing him to lose quite a few spots there from the 6 as we predicted. So not as strong as we thought it was, but definitely still an extremely good race for 60, being up 46 in 2 races, 42, sorry, in 2 races already. Going into the race 3, Infernal Bipyard BTS being picked there. Infernal, another track pick that is more common. 60 does tend to like a lot of track picks that are still preferred by other teams. They're simply better at it usually due to their sheer running prowess. And BTS Bowser's Termination Station is going to be the pick for MI, but I will remind you folks that it is another sitting track when it comes to shock, so considering the fact that it's a cannon, it's a big gamble of a track pick.
This could be really, this could be either a really good race for 60 just because from running power and it being shockless, or a really good race for MI if they do pull the shock since it is a cannon track. But since it is sitting, yeah, 60 I guess does have a small edge, but again, any bagger could pull shock here, and Zilla does pass the TC off, so it's gonna be
Yeah.
early top spots, 1, 3, 4 actually. But
Brody
Tech
giving
Shocks
him a
does
little.
pull reds.
With the second one dives off into the void, and the third one, great play by Zilla there, dodging it. Brody giving him a little gift at the start of the race, but he does end up passing it off. But unfortunately, he does end up getting hit out there. But Abel doesn't quite make the cut with the star there, bonking into the barrier as 60 are now broken in top 2. They're now a little bit too tight for anyone to hit it there. Brody Ivan in top 2. Ivan consistently in the top spots there. I was maybe downplaying him a little bit at the start of this match, but he's been consistently showing up in terms of running prowess alongside Brody. So props to him in general as Jack does manage to dodge out that red Zilla forced into the mid pack there by Winter as 60 still in a pretty decent seat for this race. Both baggers still sitting at the set there. Though it does look like neither of them are. No, both of them are chaining. Sorry, I was reading the minimap wrong. Blue being thrown out, going to hit out Brody as they end. Possibly just going to jumble up the top spots a little bit. An MI member passing him in second place, being, I do believe, Tektrox possibly.
I believe
Oh,
Mealy is
never mind.
running in the pack, so we could see MI having shock, which could be really good for them.
Yeah, we see both baggers running and going back to the set at this point, either being one of them being hit out or simply just a little bit of a mind game. But it does seem like Brody did manage to get a hit out on someone else there and getting back up to second place. Jack chaining that Mega. I wonder if that means it pretty much guarantees MI having shock at this point, because that's a really weird place to chain a Mega there. Granted, the blue shell chain definitely does make it worth it, but if you don't
We
see a
could see a
shock there,
shock here. Oh, no shock
no,
goes
okay.
out.
I guess he simply wanted to just keep chaining there, not expecting a shock to be pulled at any point. But there's another blue shell actually going towards Zilla, and he doesn't dodge it as well. He is going to get comboed by Jack. Good angle on the green snipe. But Winter does have triple reds there onto Ivan there. If one of them connects, like, at least one of them connects, that could be a really big race. As Stubbs gets backed out, Winter doesn't quite manage to hit out Ivan. That is still going to be a top 2 on the side of 6C there, shockless, and unfortunately not enough as there was a bill at the end there, it seemed.
Yeah, it
It
was
does
tech
look
trucks, I believe.
does look like a 6C bottom 2 there, top 2, bottom 2. A little bit of stabilizing after how rough the first half of the track was. But yeah, unfortunately, none of those reds connecting onto Ivan means that 6C still have a pretty good race coming out of it.
And as you said, I guess it was shockless at the end, so it could have been mind games as Mew was running in the pack, but then both baggers did turn around back to the set, so we could have seen some mind games coming out where one bagger would have gone forward and then back to get a box 10, but it didn't matter at the end.
I'm going to be fully honest, I simply think that Miui lost shock in some way. I think that's what ended up happening. Because I
That
would
could
be
be a
very
possibility
surprised.
as well, yeah.
I would be very surprised to see a shock mind game being pulled when you're when you're behind in terms of running power, in terms of your top spots, and considering that this is a cannon track, making shock even more important. You don't really see mind games being performed on a track like DK Mountain in RTs, for example. So I think it was simply Miui losing shock in some way and them coming back to chain. Though who knows? Maybe it was indeed a mind game, but it was a peculiar
Yeah.
one if it was one. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's true. And we're gonna be seeing Infernal coming out, but and Frantic Funyard, which is it's gonna be Infernal, so another 6C track.
I want to say
Here.
Frantic another specialty track pick, but PL did pick it quite a bit as well during previous seasons, so not as much as the other ones. But yeah, Infernal Pipeyard, definitely a really strong running track and one that could be very well decided in these very few first turns. Seems like a little bit of lag there as Ivan was off for just a second, but Brody and Ivan still in top 2 for now. Great dodge by
Who's
Jack.
tighter than the fib?
That
Oh,
is an
we're probably
that
gonna
was
see a
absolutely
shroom cut
insane.
here.
And Brody makes it Shroom was adding insult to injury, staying in first at this point, and backing Jack off. That's the power of learning that cut Shroomless, and that is simply just the power of Brody in general, as Jack does make his way into fourth at the very least. Both Zilla and Stubbs being hit in the back there. Not exactly sure what happened. Possibly a TC battle of some kind, as we see whoever is in eighth is pretty much already gone, as is top 2. With that back onto Jack, Ivan and Brody can pretty much just run the entire rest of the race entirely out of range of any reds that could connect. You would need you already need blue, and there it is. The caster's curse coming in once again as the first blue is pulled, possibly waiting to try and get it at a good in a good position, as Zilla is backed out with that bomb. 6C now pretty much gone bottom 2, but you still have a lot of work to do if you're MI. But Ivan being blued could be a start to that, though he is still pretty far gone in first, and Zilla pulls the second blue, pretty much guaranteeing 6C stay in those top spots unless shock is pulled. But both backers are running forward, so one of the two definitely has shock. If it is Johnny, it's pretty much guaranteeing a 6C win, but if it is MI, that could turn the race around at one drop of a hat through the blue loss and Jack dodging in this mega.
Yeah, if Miwi does have shock here, we'll need to see it. Most likely next set here, we're probably gonna see like shock in set here, which not coming out, but Jack could also take cut and then call himself out.
I think
That's
more
all if
likely.
Miwi have shock.
You don't want to risk you don't want to risk your mid spot and your only dodger not being able to take cut, especially considering everyone in the front is taking the cut already, and there is the shock as expected after both Winter and Jack took the cut in megas. Definitely explains why it was held for so long. Finally passing Ivan as Brody is now in their sights. There's a red that ends up not connecting. Brody still in second. Jack chaining that from Winter in first. A big 1v2 going on in the front by now. Green is thrown, but it actually hit this teammate.
Oh,
Oh
and he
no!
snipes him. He snipes
He
Winter,
sniped
and he's trailed off.
Brody.
Oh,
Man, Brody's trailing him off once again. A bit of miscommunication there, connecting onto his teammate, and now Ivan and Brody back in top two. Brody playing that 1v2 beautifully, but also a bit of miscommunication, unfortunately, on the side of Winter, and Jack losing their only chance out of top spots, and we're right back to where we were before the shock. Tektrox gonna try his damnedest to stay in third here, but unfortunately, probably not gonna be enough. That shock not mattering too much, possibly just getting them after the set to not risk any red shells being thrown out, but it will be a 3-4-5 on the side of MI there. 3-4-5-6, and Zilla and Stubbs being pretty much gone right at the start of lap 2 and not managing to catch up in any way. But God, that 1v2 versus Brody was unfortunately both a blunder by MI and just Brody playing that extremely well with bumping off Jack there.
yeah, that was. Hey, MI had their one chance of swinging momentum and getting that winning race, but again, miscommunication and a big blunder, and Brody and Ivan actually getting top two out of it. So top two after two of them dodging in a mega in 3-4 is definitely a win in their eyes. And
Oh, and we did get a quickly checking in the Division 1 rep chat. There is a pen on the side of MI there. Miwi, unfortunately, while running in the pack in Bowser's Termination Station, actually did get a wheelie bump onto Zilla there. So that is unfortunately a -5 for MI, extending the lead by 6C further as we go into the end of that GP1. Definitely not what you want to see there, as BC4 Frantic Funyard being picked, Banished Keep, another option there that we mentioned earlier on, and that is going to be preferred, simply a rogue BC4 track pick on Zilla's end. But yeah, this unfortunately, with 6C having more track picks and with a lot of MI's more specialized track picks being gone, this looks a lot more like the 6C we were expecting at the start of this finals there, being absolutely dominant and just keeping it going, not letting off the gas even for a single second as we go into race 5.
as you said, MI's only running track left is Halogen, but they can only pick that with a top two or even a top three. So if they want to play their last kind of specialty track, they need a winning race ASAP.
Ooh, Golden Perzilla. Unfortunately, not what you want here. You'd prefer triple shrooms, but he does make the full strat right behind Brody. Will we see them go for the shroomless? I'm actually curious. And we do see them go for it once again. Probably the two people crazy enough in this community to go for that shroomless consistently, and they both make it at the biggest stage possible. They're going to be pretty far gone there. Let's switch over to Jack Canada. They're holding pretty far gone in 8th, actually, holding onto that golden, and it does seem like he's going to take a bit of time to catch up, but at this point, there is quite a bit left to do. Let's switch back over to 6C side, as we do see Ivan in 3rd, actually. Green being thrown back, not going to connect onto anyone so far. 6C being pretty dominant already in top 3 there. As Green being thrown back onto his teammate there, I assume was communicated at the very least, but yeah. 6C already in such a strong spot there, and at this point you're just chaining for shrooms for Zilla and Brody to get some protection for the blue shell, as we do see the 4th, whoever is in 4th, being pretty close to them at this point. Once again, the shroom list is going to be made by both players there. Ivan just going for the shroom cut, and it is a bell in 4th, actually, as Zilla pulls the exact item he needs, hits out a bell, gives them even more of a break, and yeah, that is the typical 6C Banished Keep, just not letting them even a single second to breathe. He
And
actually
yeah, if
did
you're
get one.
MI here,
He also
sorry.
he also no worries. He did get one last back red onto a bell at least, and now that's top 4 for 6C.
Yeah, and if you're MI here again, you'll need to be cycling for those blues, just like on color. They'll need at least 4 blues, not exaggerating. And speaking of the blues, there's the first one, but they'll probably need at least 3 more here to stabilize the race, and a shot possibly. So
Absolutely. I do think that was an MI shock at the very least, trying to break up the lead a little bit by forcing them around the cut, or at the very least forcing one of them around the cut as Brody still managed to take it. Ivan eating the blue because of it. And Stubbs stays in fourth regardless, so MI still in bottom four as we go into the last leg of the race. Stubbs did get hit out, Jack being forced into that bill by his own driving mistake. And unfortunately, it's going to be not enough for the time being as Stubbs does get billed out. Um, Unfortunately for him, but 60 still in a really decent spot. TC could get Ivan or Zilla out if Jack can manage to catch up to them, as Abel does make it into second place. Will we see a head out onto them? Doesn't seem likely. Abel
oh,
does get
blues
booed out,
thrown, and it
actually.
actually hits a bell. Yeah.
Jack does get third out of this, with Brody probably still in first. But yeah, but just the typical 6C managed to keep at this point. Jack did manage to get back up into third, but the blue shell on a bell only adding insult to injury, as it is top 2, 5, 6 for them.
Yeah, that spam blue at the end was really unfortunate because there was a shock, so I mean it would hit a bell, but even there, even with no blue, they're still getting 1, 3, 4. So it was still looking as a 6C winning range no matter what happened there. But again, it was just 6C getting in the front early, and then due to Zilla and Brody going for that shroomless cut, which is kind of crazy, they went for two laps and making it both times. So props on them.
It is going to be a reset called up by 6C there as they go for... Oh.
And Jack has deleted myself off his friend
Off his
roster.
group.
Well,
Unfortunately, he had the space.
unlucky.
He had the space too. That's crazy. That's just
And he's
rude.
deleted Mike as well.
Not in the competition anymore. We can take them out entirely. But yeah, in all seriousness, unfortunately for MI, cannot quite manage to catch back up to 6C in general, as we have a little bit of time to reflect overall on that race. It was simply MI just being forced into a shock so early there, trying to slow down 60 as much as possible there with the blue. I don't know if the blue was pulled before or after the shock. I do think it was maybe pulled before. It was thrown where the shock was used, I would assume.
Yeah, no, he pulled blue last and spammed it, assuming no shock, because no shock it would have been blue, but just because there was a shock, he got blued. But even though again they're getting 1, 3, 4, I believe, for 60, so
Something along those lines. Definitely close to that. The shock did help. Jack did manage to get closer through the whole chaos at the end. They're catching up to Ivan, but Brody and Zilla, the dynamic duo staying in top two. Yeah, as you said, it's funny to think that there's a bunch of these that I could name that only like these two players are crazy enough to go for an actual like official matches. The Color Wonderland starting Shroom Cut is one, this Shroomless is another, the Marble Tower Shroomless is another, the Glimmer Express trains Hop Cut, even though I go for it, so I went for it in the variants when I was still active. But I'm pretty sure Zilla's like one of the only other players that go for it consistently. And it's crazy to think that it's just consistent to see those two players go for strats that no one else in this community goes for.
they consistently make the strats that no one goes for. So it's just that big skill gap over everyone else that's giving them this advantage.
Yeah, that's definitely showing exactly why they were this dominant, and they're still this dominant going into race 6, I believe here. Halfway point of the war, and you're already up 70 points without the cushion of so many track picks and so many specialty track picks. MI definitely are feeling the pressure at this point, and they need to start getting some momentum back now, because 6C in top 256, if they get one or two more winning races, they could just run away with the match and with finals altogether.
Yeah, if you're MI here, you need at this point, since track picks aren't really, or they don't have any, or most of their track picks left, they do need basically shock to be pulled for them every single race here. As again, shockless is just gonna most likely mean an even race for 6C. And again, if you're 6C here and you're up by 68 after 5, all you need is even races until the end here.
Yeah, you don't need to play risky. You don't need to really do anything except secure your top spots, which is what 6C have been really good at this entire war, this entire match even, is simply just getting into the front getting into the front early and just keeping those top spots all throughout. With some rare exceptions, and even with those set exceptions, they were usually able to catch back up fairly quickly through just raw playmaking or strats. We only have we left to join before going back into the second half of the war. Um, Wonder what else MI could go for at this point. Frantic Funyard was an example of a track they could use to catch up. Another sort of more specialized track pick of theirs that we didn't quite consider. Masako, really quickly, could you switch us to the track list before the match starts really quickly to see what else they have on their track list that we may have forgotten before the end. Their Woohoo Island is another example indeed, but as you can see, Frantic Funyard, Garden of Dreams, those are pretty much the only three tracks they could pick to catch up at this point, and the moment those are gone, or the moment really any DS Airship Fortress is an example of a running track they could use, but even then 60 is definitely strong on that one, seeing how just good raw running power is on it. So they're in a pretty harsh checkmate situation at this point if they don't at the very least get a few track picks or a few shocks going. Let's go back to the main event here as the track picks should be on their way. And Zilla picked Wario.
We could be seeing a little character difference here. Maybe the whole team possibly, but we'll see. But for now,
Goodness. We did mention that Zilla is possibly one of the only players that would go for a character switch right in the middle of D1 finals. So let's see if his whole team followed. We're gonna have to see at the starting line. But Warriors Climate Cataclysm was not one I considered because it was picked by
It's off the
Ivan.
list, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, Masako informs us that it could be an off-list pick, possibly picked at random, and if it was, it's going to be a big -20. And it does seem like Brody is on Wario as well. I do think we'll see. We'll see if they're driving. It does seem like they're driving. I do not. I know. I do think it's on the list if they're all driving there. Ooh, Jack. Ooh, never mind. Is Jack
it seems
check?
the whole team of 6C is on Wario, so we might see this as a trend after the reset.
Jack is quickly. I guess Jack was checking if this was on the list or not. I'm not. Oh, race doesn't count. Okay, no, Jack did check, and race doesn't count. It was simply a little bit of trolling by 60 there, right in the middle of D1 finals. It shows how dominant this team is if they're willing to just do that in the middle of finals, throwing away 20 points just for a little bit of a meme race here. I'm gonna be honest though, I'm surprised Climate Cataclysm is not on the list there, considering how popular it's grown over time here, with a few players, even in high-level Mogies, picking it quite consistently at this point. But yeah, Zilla on the Wario, gonna try and catch it back up at least a little bit here. I do think it's simply Jack in 8th place there, possibly typing up a Storm in the rep chat. Did not quite check. Uh, or simply DCing to get back into the match faster. Could also be that. Zilla gonna throw up those reds, not gonna connect in any significant fashion. Starting out a bell in the middle of the cut there in his Mega. With triple shrooms there, I do think Zilla is in a pretty good winning position there if he simply holds those triple shrooms for the cut. As both baggers are still chaining for the time being, Ivan being hit out by that TC. And at the very least, it's easy to tell where 6C is. We see pretty much rather even race for the time being, even with Jack being gone.
people slowing down. It's a TC battle in first somehow. But
Possibly
Winter does lose a.
possibly Tech Trucks or Winter pulling in third and simply trying to pass it off to Brody, not connecting in any way. Unfortunately, Zilla pretty close to almost just killing his race outright, but he does go for the double Shroomer, as we mentioned, and he does make it fairly easily there. The rather heavy weight of Wario not hampering his ability to take that double Shroom cut whatsoever, as it is now top 2 for the dynamic duo of 6C here. Unfortunately, we cannot quite switch to a viewpoint in the middle of the pack since our POV is gone from the match. So we're going to have to wait at least a little bit longer as Zilla and Brody should secure that top 2 fairly easily. Top 3 even as we see the last Wario go into that podium slot. And I do believe Miwi was also running this later half of the race, but either way, race doesn't count even if it is a nice top 3 for the Warrior squad.
And now, MI's only down 48, but still, they'll need to get chain their winning races ASAP, and still 48 is still a good amount where even races for 6 was to get the job done for them.
Oh, apparently, yeah, they checked they checked and apparently yeah Ivan simply thought it was on list and wanted to add to this meme and simply picked it not knowing it was off list. So the joke would have worked. It was indeed just to add insult to injury as the rest of his team picked the more coherent running track pick, but unfortunately the joke does cost them 20 points and their last reset, you gotta remember, that is their last reset, so another reset will cost them 20 points. So now, if one of their Wiis or Nets start acting up, this could end up biting them in the behind later on in the war. They do still have half a war left to go. And as we have to wait through for an entire another DC, this is not Mario Kart World where you can simply join back. The room has to restart, unfortunately, as we just gonna have to wait it out for now. But yeah, that is 48 points now for MI to catch up in half the war. Definitely not as scary as it would be before the whole reset shenanigans. And also, at this point, you would assume 6C have lost most of their mental momentum going into the latter half of the war.
Yeah, MI could definitely use this as a mental reset here as now, especially because I'm -20. It is winnable, so we could see a switch of momentum here, and I believe everyone is going to CTC except one Wario here. Or 2 Warios, actually, so.
Either way, they'll gonna host again, still holding on to the spot here, still holding on to the reset spot. I'm actually not quite sure what the rule was there, if they're allowed to pick spots back up if they cause a DC due to list, or if that's simply treated as a usual DC where you can just keep the keep the spots altogether. I assume it's simply treated as a regular DC in this instance.
I think Jackstrom is up, so we'll probably just see them join in alt spots, but I'm not too sure, honestly, about how that rule is.
I would have to check into the into the rule set of the league, unfortunately. But yeah, unfortunately, we're just gonna have to delay this a little bit. The little joke there not being not panning out well for 60, unfortunately. And it does seem to be simply them holding on to spots for now. JC typing in the rep chat, so okay, JC confirming that it is indeed just treated as a regular reset. So we are going to see 60 hold on to those top 2, 5, 6 spots. And hopefully, MI have a chance to pick another track that they could catch up on, and that doesn't end up being a 60 track pick. I will say
Yeah,
though,
we're probably gonna Sorry, you can go.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're probably gonna see them going like frantic fun yard or just cause again they can't go. Or the bad part about the remaining tracks in their track was is that half of them like Airship and Halogen are running tracks, so they can't pick those until they get the a winning race. So they'll have to still resort to like Garden of Dreams and Frantic,
Yeah,
most
indeed,
likely.
they're stuck to those for the time being. But yeah, I wanted to mention the fact that I'm really shocked that Climate Cataclysm is not on the track list, and it seems that according to our stream host Malfico, apparently it was a case of everyone simply expecting it to be picked at some point and not prioritizing in your draft until no one eventually picks it, not wanting to waste a slot on it. So it seems that it is off the list, regardless of how often it is played in Mogies, and it simply is going to cause the room reset as we wait for the baggers to join, hopefully a little bit faster than last time. But yeah, they're shocked that it's not on the list at all, considering its popularity. Even though many would call many at the start of the update when it came out, many called it um, not very good. But I mean, the first impressions weren't stellar to my recollection.
It was mostly jank. It was people just called it jank, and then that one shroom was cut where if you put like a fib landing on it, it takes up the whole road, which is I don't blame them for complaining about that, but
It is one of the many things that make CTs rather. I would say it makes them drastically different from RTs, but not exactly as many RTs similar suffer from similar issues, or rather just simply being gamed out enough that you figure out some strats and item placements to make them completely either or either bagging proof or running proof. But regardless, we are back on the funky conks. No funny shenanigans. We're only up 48, so we need to lock back in as we go into the second half of the war. And hopefully it'll prevent Ivan from pulling any funny shenanigans this time, as GBABC2 is going to be the pick instead of GBABC4 and Frantic Funyard. We are back rewinding the clock around 10 minutes ago, as both of these teams are locked back in, and Frantic Funyard is going to be the pick. Thankfully for MI, catching a break and getting their track pick. I would say one of their last really specialized track picks going into the second half of the match.
yeah, I totally agree. It's definitely their last track that they can rely on that's not a full runner. Or I guess Garden of Dreams is last, but it's not really a niche track compared to this, as there's more strats on this track where if you know them, you could definitely get a big break on it.
Exactly. Zilla getting a very nice back onto Jack, not pulling out his greens in time. We did see Brody waiting a little bit at the start and going to be able to shroom through the cut, as well as Tektrox and Bell, I believe. We do see a lot of MI in the back for now, unfortunately, as they're going to be stuck for a little bit longer there. Tektrox chaining on the wall. Jack Canada with a start in 8th at this point. Probably going to stay back there for a little bit. Let's check up on Zilla for just a second. I do believe he's still in first for the time being, with a bell hot on his trail after the first cut. I do see a Waluigi in the track, so we're going to have to see who that belongs to. I would assume a 6C member, seeing everything that happened back there. Let's go back to Jack's point of view here, as I do assume he took the cut indeed now in second, with Stubbs hot on his trail, Fib being tight, not going to connect, and the car is actually going to connect though, as 60 are back into a pretty decent spot. It is Stubbs on the Waluigi, good to remember for later on in the track, as the first blue is pulled and going to be immediately chucked at Zilla, as Stubbs is going to lose the CC battle, causing him to stay pretty far gone in 8th for the time being. Let's go back to Zilla here, as he's mostly closer to the mid pack. Exactly, Abel now into first place. Mega took the cut on his right there. Zilla pretty much stuck in this 1v2 here. Nana not connecting. Extremely close back for now.
Oh, the apples almost got in the way, but still holding well. I believe Johnny is in 10 as Unless Miwi is running forward with a 9, but not sure yet. Yeah,
We're gonna have
Stubbs
to.
is still an 8, so. But Shock does come out, I believe. It's an MI Shock shocking all of 6C after the ramp. Most likely.
It did seem like it. Am I now with a top 2? I wouldn't say break, no, indeed, as the Nana did force the bell onto the wall, but Tektrox and Jack now in top 2 here as we go towards the last leg of the race. The green goes up. Does it connect onto Tektrox? It does not. And unfortunately, I do not think that Zilla is going to be able to catch up even with that shroom. It is going to be at the very least the top 2 for MI here, dodging the fib wide at top 2-4 for MI with Winter gone in 8th, but that is pretty much exactly what you need if you're MI to get back into this match.
Yeah, it's actually perfect for them. Now they could just chain into DS Airship. Finally, they could continue picking tracks on their list as, again, this is probably their second to last sort of neutral track pick that they could have gone.
Indeed, Halogen Highway is also another option. While it is not on their list, I believe it is one on another team. It is a track that they've been playing for a few years at this point, one they're really consistent running on. So I would not be surprised to see them go for it in this instance. But yeah, that is exactly what you need to get back into this whole match. And the pen from 6C might indeed end up biting them, as they're now only 30 points behind. They're now officially in striking distance with more than a GP left to go.
Yeah, that race was exactly what they needed, and that mental break after that race definitely showed that it helped. And see Spooky Swamp coming out, and then yeah, Halogen Highway, which they can finally pick
We
their
did
strong
expect
running track.
We did expect the Spooky Swamp coming out. It is another technical track pick that 6C has picked during the semifinals, for example, but it is going to be it is going to be Halogen Highway being picked, MI being blessed with another track pick that they would need to catch up at this point. Down 31, a top 4-9 would secure a tie going into the last GP, and that's pretty much the best you could ask for against a team like 6C. Jack and Tektrox having a lot of work to do in top 2, however, Zilla immediately drafting up into second, a big 1v1 from Tektrox and Zilla there. Whoever ends up in front could be massively impacting this race. Abel stays in fourth for now. 2 items could be thrown back at Zilla for now, and the green connect on the wall! Massive snipe by Zilla!
That is perfect start for 16 now. Is they're 1-4, I believe, but still pretty mixed up spots. But that was key to getting MI's only top spot out, and I believe that was a 6C member dying into 8th. So
Did not quite have the time to see it, but if that was Zilla, and they're all in the back. It was Zilla, they're all in the back. MI are in top 3 now. Just off of Zilla dying out of nowhere.
yeah, I guess all of MI shroomed up right after Jack got sniped, but
Zilla does get
Jack with
comboed
a
as
star
well.
now. If Mimi does pull Shock, this could be insanely good actually, since MI is still top 3.
Yeah, you could just call it in the boost there, but Jack simply preferring to burn that star and move up. We know how strong top spots are on this track in general. Brody makes his way to third, but that blue call, and unfortunately it is 6C that pulled the shock and dodging Ivan and Zilla and TSing a member of dodging Brody as well and TSing a member of MI altogether. That was pretty much the perfect shock for 6C as they go from 5, 6, 7 to top 3 at the drop of hat.
Now we just need MI to most likely just start chaining for blue, but again, they'll need at least 2 blues here. And speaking of chaining for blues,
Ooh, that was a nice little
blue
bit of
lags
lag
there
on the
a
boost
lot, but
panel.
yeah. I believe they're still top 2 here, with Johnny in 10 right now, so we could see another 6E shock here, securing maybe a top 2 for if they do pull it, or something bigger than that. But Waluigi is in the mid pack, so it does suggest that they are top 2-4, and shock does come out.
That does look like more of an MI shock. I don't think I saw. I don't think I saw the Waluigi dodging, for example. We're gonna have to see who ends up coming up at the end there. Stubbs actually does make his way up. That could have been a dodge from Stubbs, and all things considered. It does look like a top 2-4 at the very least with whoever I do believe Ivan ended up in 8th there. But yeah, just another big race for 6C. That shock on at the start of lap 3 just lap 2, sorry. That shock on the start of lap 2 just completely turned the race around altogether. MI had a pretty decent lead going into this, but from the TSs and the triple dodges, it just completely flipped the race on its head.
Yeah, it was honestly lots of like swings in the race. Zilla sniping Jack and then dying immediately, and then MI getting to top 3, but then a shock coming out, so 6 you get back into the top spots, and then a blue came out. So a lot of
Yeah.
swings there that race, but in the end, 60 did get the better advantage of it just because of that shock and that double dodge.
And they're now up 70 at the start of that GP3, not 70, sorry, up 50 at the start of that GP3. It looks bleak. It's not over just yet, but that's pretty much the best way they could answer to that frantic fun yard race. ABC2 Woohoo Island, pretty familiar track picks at this point, both being present in 3 separate track picks. But yeah, at this point, a single winning race for 60 might seal the deal altogether on this match. I do believe we're now up to race 10, if I'm not mistaken, or race 9.
I think it's race 8 because they played 5 before the reset, and then
Oh yeah, my
it's race
mistake.
3.
My
Yeah.
mistake. Yeah, I had the Warriors Climate Cataclysm quote unquote race in mind. My mistake here. Absolutely correct here. So still having one GP to go altogether as BT2 is picked, another extremely strong running track pick, though not really tech heavy as much as it is simply rewarding strong base running. Brody drafting up into first, dodging up that bomb there as the Nana connects onto an MI member. I do believe it was a Bell as they're now in top 3, just drafting each other, making way for a pretty strong lead altogether. Zilla going for the harder version of the strat and making it as well. You can call that another strat that pretty much only, well, granted it is more popular than the rest of the quote-unquote Brody and Zilla strats. Jack with a Mega in 4th there, possibly in the best position that he could be if it comes to coming back into the race, with Miwi in 10th as well.
Could see an early shot coming out here.
Well, that's a massive.
If Miwi does. But Ivan's in a star, so probably no shot coming out. And blue's coming out, so it's going to be pretty mixed up spots. After this blue here, Jack's going to get into 2nd. He combos Zilla, actually, so I think he's first. Yeah, he is.
Be, unless there's a really big lag on Brody's side, it does seem that Jack will remain in first. Brody making the harder version of the strat, catching back up to Jack immediately. Jack trailing that fib, a big 1v1 coming out for both these players. The Nana's not connecting, forcing everyone wide up with the triple shells. They're not going to connect either. Winter makes it into 2nd place. That is now top 2 for MI as the shells are bouncing, but that is pretty much the best that MI could ask for as we see both baggers sitting there. And I do think Miwi could possibly be holding the shock at this point if no one hits him out. Ooh, Johnny's running forward. Actually, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it could be a 50-50 swing here on who has shock, but this could be an important shot coming out here on whoever has it.
Looks like Miwi's chaining. I'm not exactly sure if it was an MI shock. They would have, if it was a 60 shock, they would have used it way earlier. Or never mind, actually, they just waited for Ivan to pull a dodge, and he does manage to make his way into first place off of that. When we're going to see in the mid-pack there, Brody making his way up into 3rd place. So it's going to be 135, actually, for 60. That shock being used late, but managing to get Ivan up into a top spot and possibly getting 60 onto boost panels and item boxes before the last straight. We did see Zilla goldening up, but unfortunately getting bumped by a Bell at the end, not managing to secure that 134. Definitely not as big of a race as we're used to on BC2 for 6C, but nevertheless, it is a winning race, and it is another blow to MI's record on that regard.
Yeah, I love the patience there on that shot, especially with this type of lead. No need for, top threes every single race, just holding shock until everyone's out and just even dodging. Honestly, just indiving the shock there, which Ivan did just to get first there, was definitely the play there. And it was a winning race at the end of the day. So that's all you need
Absolutely.
here. Going into GP3 now, up around 80-ish.
Something along those lines. 1, 3, 5, 6. Definitely seems like it regardless. While we wait for the exact point, 60 on the dot as we go into race 9 of the snatch here. Wonder
If
what
you're MI here,
go
this
for
is where
here.
it gets extremely desperate since 60 in 4 races. They need a winning race here, as if 60 gets a winning race in the teens here, then a 70-point deficit in 3 races is usually never happens, but so we will need a winning race here from MI. And it is their track pick of Woohoo Island.
Definitely a nice one to have in your bag there, as pretty much a golden at the start of this race. Might as well decide the track altogether, as the first cut saves around probably give or take 5 seconds all throughout, if I'm not pretty much not exaggerating in that regard. Zilla and Abel both managed to get a draft early, gonna try and break into that first place spot. The red is thrown out, but given the time of the ramp, it doesn't give the time to connect. Abel does block it in the end, TC being pulled behind both players, neither of them getting the trick as well. So unfortunately, going to lose a little bit of time on that regard. Ivan does shroom up into second place here, another player to challenge Abel's top spot, and it does seem like he will make it in the end as Abel is forced out. A bit of lag there in Abel's favor, as now Zilla is stuck in a rather awkward position behind both Stubbs and Winter, and very nice from Winter, killing both of them at 160. Now in bottom two, let's switch over POVs to Jack in 8th place there, managing to hit out Zilla as well as he was goldening. So for now, it looks like pretty strong race on the side of MI there in 2, 4, 5, 6, but you still have Brody and Ivan in the top spot to kill, and that fib by Zilla is not going to help matters at all.
Zilla's holding a star in 6, so whoever pulls shock here could be a big play, and if Johnny does pull it, it could honestly seal it. But both players are swinging back, so it does look like it is still shockless. But Zilla's probably going to just chain the star this upcoming set here, and if a shock does come out, then could be a really good race. But MI is 1-3 right now, actually, so
yeah. We do see Abel being in first, and Zilla didn't chain a good item at all, so it seems to be at the very least 1-3 on the side of them. Let's switch over to Jack Canada really quickly in the mid-pack to see what happens. It's a late shock, and I don't believe I saw anyone dodging.
it was
No, and it looks like
1-3-5-6 for MI.
doing the exact same race that they took last time here, as they managed to stabilize a little bit at the start of the GP3. It is still doable for them. They're going to need to change to a pretty decent running track in order to make that comeback happen. But yeah, Abel managing to get the better of Brody there in first place, as Brody passed him earlier, but Ivan got killed right before the shroomless cut. So there was only Brody left to contend with, and Abel managed to come out on top. Unfortunately, no eyes on the front of the pack in that regard, as Zilla and Jack were pretty much stuck in the mid pack. But gotta say, unfortunate Zilla pulling a blooper in fourth Predator Star there. Could have absolutely killed Tektrox there in third if he didn't pull that. I will come back in just 2 seconds. Sorry.
Now, well, Scoped is gone, but he will be back soon. But MI will definitely need a chain track pick here if they want to continue this momentum, as they're still down around 50-ish, so they'll definitely need bigger races as coming down to race 10. And Pinball actually is a very interesting track pick, but back in ZA, we picked this a lot, so they definitely have lots of practice on Pinball just from playing scrims against ZA, but Ivan's lone pick of Spooky Swamp is the track chosen. See a common theme of Ivan picking different tracks compared to his team, but this time it is on the list. So there will be no -20, but for Spooky Swamp here, they golden and triple shrooms are the items to get here for the cuts halfway through the track here and at the ends. Lots of cuts here and catcher potential, and Jackhand is actually random green, so that's gonna be really unfortunate, but MI should be keeping one for now.
And Zilla gets mega'd and star dropped for Jack as well, so Jack now in a really good spot, able to take the star through the cut here and a shroom through the cut below. We're gonna have to see if he decides to go for the double shroom cut or simply save them for the end. I don't think he needs to go for anything too risky as they're already in 1-3-4, but it seems like we're going for that double shroom cut. We are making it, thankfully, as Jack is now in second, MI in top 2 as we go to the last leg of the first lap. Zilla getting green shelled, I believe, before the cut, so it is now top 3 for MI on 60 signature track picks for once. But as you said, Rooms and Golden can absolutely make a huge difference on this track pick. So we're gonna have to see if MI can hold on to that lead as Tektrox is redded at the start of the lap 2, and there's a blue shell coming straight at a Bell's face.
I believe Jack is up there, so MI will still be in first and
Not a Bell, it was
bit of
Winter,
a
my
controller.
mistake.
Bit of a controller misinput, but this Golden can be really good here. Zilla's going to be taking the double cut most likely at the end here, so we're going to see if Zilla's going to be making that. And honestly, with how close this pack is, we could see him getting into second here or even first. So
I do think he'll end up being first simply because Golden does allow you to take both of these strats here. So if none of the top spots have shrooms, he might be able to pass Winter here. But it did seem like Winter actually did hold shrooms this entire time, so he does end up taking the strat regardless. Zilla not going for the cut altogether, simply choosing to be playing a little bit safer there. But since Winter had a shroom, he doesn't have any protection to use, and Zilla barely managing to block the red with that Nana. And 60 are now in top 2 off of Zilla's play, but there's a blue shell immediately coming at Stubbs' face as Jack passes him a TC as well. TC battle in the mid pack, not going to work out in Jack's favor, but Stubbs loses a lot of time off of it as well. Let's switch over POVs to Zilla at this point. I do not believe that Jack is okay. Jack
there's a
Canada's POV it
Blackhawk
is.
head.
Jack Canada's POV it is for at least a little bit longer, as unfortunately we do not have eyes on the top half of the pack so far. Stubbs gonna try and stop Mega Jack, I suppose. But what I do want to point out is that both backers are still going backwards. It should be Shockless going into this, and Jack unfortunately not pulling any more shrooms. Zilla fell off and is now in 6th place, unfortunately. No eyes on the front of the pack, but we do see a lot of MI, which would imply that still looking pretty good for.
I think MI are top 4 actually. If I'm not actually no, one of them is off, but I think MI actually just got top 3. I think.
It
Wait,
could
no,
be,
wait, no, 60 got bottom 3.
No,
Should
we're
be a
watching
really
Jack.
good.
We're watching Jack.
Oh wait, we're on Jack's POV.
We're on
Oh my
Jack's
God.
POV. You're good. You're good.
I forgot to still add that ad.
It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, Jack. Besides Jack being in 8th, I do believe that it's still an amazing race for MI overall, as we did see a lot of 60 in the back. I do think that Zilla just falling off there lost them a lot of top spots, and indeed, you were correct. MI does get a top 3 out of this, with Jack being in last on one of 60's most popular track picks. Definitely not what we expected, and not something that happened even since the start of this war. Am I winning on a 60 track pick?
Yeah, and that's extremely clutch for them, as we'll probably see an airship coming out here, or just any running track, but it's still winnable here. They've now chained 2 winning races here, so it seems they're only down by 31, I believe. Yeah, so again, they're back to where they were at race 5, but again, they need a winning race here, as any winning race here from 6C does force an all run. So this track pick could decide the entire finals matchup here, and it's going to be
It's going to be the airship. What I
that was
will
really good.
That is really good, but I will point out that this is risky in the sense that if fourth manages to get a good draft on first and possibly bump him out, this race could turn around at the very first straight. So we're going to keep a close eye on the mid pack there. Thank you, Masako, for making the switch before I even needed to ask. But it does seem like MI, Techrock still in first place. Never mind, Zilla does get the draft that I mentioned and is now first with triple nanas, and now it's looking a lot more bleak on the side of MI. Another, it seems like there's another shroom from a Bell or a draft. Either way, does manage to get back into first. Zilla stealing that first place away from him. Gonna have a lot of nanas to play with as Brody is now in third place. The Bell has a lot of work left to do as both baggers are now sitting at the set. Gotta remember, this is yet another sitting track with a cannon, so any amount of random luck could absolutely work out in either team's favor. Ivan dropping a bomb onto Jack, but it actually connects onto a Bell as 60 now in top 3 with having control in first gives you so much power on Airship Fortress, and we see it right here as 60 are now top 3-5. Jack is going to be pretty much stuck in that mid pack trying to get any advantage on these players, but he gets hit out right as I say it by Ivan. Stubbs having 2 greens behind him, forcing a lot of mistakes on his end, and there's an immediate shock, and I believe Ivan DC'd as well. So I think going from looking like a really tough race to MI possibly being able to win this as Abel shrooms up in front of Zilla that is now 1-3 with 6C being down 1 member.
Yeah, this could be really bad. I think Zilla's back into first. Yeah, 145.
He
Oh,
gets
but
out!
a Bell. Zilla top 2 for MI now, and Jack backs someone, but there is a blue. This could be a really close race here. Jack's gonna keep one here with lots of 6C behind and 2, 3, 4.
2, 3, 4, they're hot on this trail at this point. I even didn't DC. I guess it was simply
I think
lag
Ivan
near the
slowed
cannon.
down in cannon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a bit of lag near the cannon. My mistake there. But 60 now in pretty decent spot all throughout. That draft in the spiral is a horrendous one to have as you're forced in a super wide line and actually hitting out Brody, but Tech Trucks is also hit out in third place. Zilla ends up. I'm not sure who passed him in second. I do believe it could have been Stubbs actually. If it is Stubbs in 2-3, this could be curtains for MI, or at the very least forcing an all run. 60 managing to catch back up even after that snipe by Abel onto Zilla there. That blue being devastating in this spot because Abel unfortunately couldn't quite go into any other line. The way the track is shaped up around around that 180-degree turn, you can't go any wider or tighter. You have a single line that you have to follow, or at the very least, the small variations in it do not allow you to dodge a blue shell altogether. As they get 2, 3, 4 out of this, that is a winning race for 60, and that forces the all run for MI.
Yeah, so with this all-run, I'm not sure what all-run tracks are even drafted. Which the only ones that are on top of my head are Baby Park and Jungle Jamble, but I'm not sure if either of them are drafted. So if they do decide to all-run, they'll need for either any cannon track, and then one of them will have to stay in 9th and pray that they pull a shock 9. But we'll see what the all-running track that they pick is. The
Asking a
only
quick
way of winning
confirmation.
is
Delfino Island definitely being another extremely strong track pick on the side of 6C here. As we know, Zilla is extremely confident on the neutral bounce at the start that pretty much guarantees him first, and it seems like even they don't know exactly what to pick, as Piper Underworld is picked, Bowser Jr.'s Fort, Cool Angel Thesis, and a random by Miwi there, but Delfino Island is going to be the pick, and I'm afraid this alone might seal the deal for 6C there as we go into race 12.
Probably gonna have to see a Miwi running here, which is a first of something. I don't think I've ever seen Miwi run CTs before, but
I do believe that would be a first for me as well. But yeah, still going back. It seems that Uzilla getting around from there, not even needing the neutral bounce. Stubbs gets it as well, and that's top two for 60 already.
and
As we go,
both baggers are actually going backwards, so it seems that there is no all run going
either we
on.
either we have the point slightly wrong, or there is a chance that they're either gonna fish for a pen or something along those lines. But either
Yeah.
way, it seems that we are possibly still going to play that race normally, as it seems as uh, Miwi did take quite a bit more time to do the strat that Johnny did, so Johnny pretty much gone in 10 already. Let's switch over POVs to Jack here, as Zilla is... Oh,
Oh,
no stream from Jack Canada. Uh, Possibly them treating the match as lost already. It's unfortunate, but fair enough. Zilla not making the neutral bounce as I was hyping it up before the race, unfortunately so. Uh, so it does seem like Stubbs is going to be the one to get into first for now with Brody, hot on his trail, Abel, and Techshox in 3, 4 as we go into the wooden bridge of lap 2. Pow there right before the cut could be absolutely disastrous there for Abel. It is going to be called here, and Abel actually doesn't die off of it. It is Brody that dies off of it. Zilla killing his partner in crime in 6C here, as MI are now in top 3 going into the start of lap 3 there after Ivan was oh, never mind, Stubbs and Zilla first. What am I saying? 2-3 for MI, as Ivan and Zilla are stuck behind them in 4-5. Will we see another neutral bounce attempt from Zilla? Most likely.
but it
Ooh,
does hit a
not.
ground shroom, so it's probably gonna be a ground shroom cut here, yeah.
And immediately throwing a red onto a bell, and it does connect as well. So that is now top 2 for 60. Once again, Zilla back where he started in second, right beside Stubbs. And
It does
unfortunately,
look like that Johnny probably has shock most likely since Miwi is falling off, so with 60 also being top 2, so it is looking like wraps here for this match, and also wraps for the season, as we're seeing 6C with another D1 banner and a win here in match
indeed.
2.
Funny that we saw earlier this week, even earlier this month, we saw T1 getting their 6th World Championship, and I believe it is now 60's 6th D1 banner, or pretty close to that at this point. Funny how it works altogether. But yeah, 60 does end up getting yet another D1 banner, the inaugural banner of this Custom Track Cup Division 1. Congratulations to them. Despite a bit of trolling, top 3-5 to finish the season. Jack simply disconnecting altogether, which does explain why stream was off. Possibly just reading the match was lost, and a little bit of emotion. But yeah, it is going to be yet another banner for 6C, yet another win for them after being seeded third coming into these finals. But it is the top two, the 2-0 that we expected coming into this, and we're gonna have to see if we possibly can get them in a quick interview before the next match of tonight, which should be in a couple hours, if I'm not mistaken. Or is it tomorrow? No, it is in a few hours that we have the D4 finals as well. So stick stick around for that. Regardless, I'm going to quickly check if we can get them in a really quick interview.
Yeah. I believe VF and their opponent. I'm honestly blanking out, playing at 10 p.m. I believe tonight, so
It is 10 p.m.
make sure to
Yes.
stay tuned for that. Yeah.
Oh, I cannot type in the rep chat. Unfortunate.
I can't type because every
Or
team
me or
that got
media.
every team that got, I guess, like out in like semis and regular season got their rep roles removed, so only 6C and MI can type in D1 so far.
Fair enough.
Which I don't know. It's different than CTL. That's the whole point of this league.
Pretty much, but
Just to
yeah.
be
Overall, I will say, despite the small stint of success that MI had during the latter half of this matchup there with Spooky Swamp, in particular, it definitely seemed that 6C were really dominant all throughout, without MI having their typical track picks to go off of. Just 6C completely staying in control throughout all of that, and just staying in the front, staying in the lead with really strong races all throughout, and yeah, just being overall an extremely strong match to go off of. And it seems that, speaking of which, we do have their members joining us.
That
Hello.
was so exciting. I got to talk with Warzy in general.
Hello, everybody. Congrats on your another D1 banner. God knows how much it is now, but congrats nonetheless.
Mentioned it
My first
possibly being
one.
the 6th, but yeah, congratulations to all of you, as we do have subs joining in as well. Will Johnny also be joining, or?
He's in the general call waiting to be dragged.
Johnny is
just leave him in there. Just leave him in there.
Okay. But yeah, as Sparkster mentioned, congratulations. Oh, there it is. So as we mentioned, congratulations on yet another Division 1 banner here. It seems that MI had a much stronger map 1 due to all the track picks, but you got an extremely dominant map 2, even despite Ivan's little bit of trolling there in the middle of the match. But yeah, congratulations, and yeah, how do you feel just off such a dominant win overall in this match too?
Johnny, you want to take this one?
I guess not.
I guess not.
I guess not.
Jesus.
He speaks for us.
Okay, boy.
Dilla, speak for your team.
Okay. Feeling pretty good. I mean, I think. I think we were probably the best team in the division, even if we got third place. Just because, I mean, we played versus MI. We played a 4v5 because Blake was sleeping, and then we had Artie, who hadn't played the game in forever, and then we like gave up a couple matches. I think we gave, was it mutual ties or something like that? I don't remember, but
yeah,
twice.
indeed. So, some 0-0s that you agreed on at the end of the season, just missing a few points, and ending up 13th because of it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah. I mean, realistically, I mean, we would have to play semifinals anyway, so first seed literally doesn't matter at all, especially if you're going to 2-0 in finals, because it's just 1-1 hosting. But match one was, I mean, we won it, thankfully, but it was definitely rough. I think we were kind of messing around a little bit too much. I was playing really bad, but luckily Brody like 130 or something like that. I don't even
Brody
know.
was
136.
Brody was the main front runner of that match. Yeah.
Yeah, I found a lot in that match. I was just getting stuck in the back and then just like sitting till like 8th place every single race, and then I mean, obviously it didn't work. I dropped like what 50, like.
It was a rough first match for you indeed, but yeah, making it up for the second match. But granted, a lot of the tracks being MI classics such as Blizzard Bluff, the usual suspects probably didn't help. Do you feel like do you feel like possibly you were maybe not as practiced on the MI track picks, or was it simply just maybe a bit of rust?
I think for me personally, I mean, I had never played those tracks like in my life, besides like when we play against MI. I mean, I remember when one of the tracks got picked, I don't even remember the name of it. Blake was just like, I think this is the first time I've ever played this, or I think the last time I played this was versus
Wicked
MI or something.
Woods.
Oh. Yeah.
This is the second time I've ever played that track.
Yeah, the last Extreme was the last track of the match too. But yeah, that early shock on Wicked Woods absolutely turning the race around at the drop of a hat and securing your win in that first match pretty easily, convincingly. But yeah, just overall,
I think
congratulations.
Thank you. I think one thing, especially with CTs, is like if you're just more practiced on the tracks than the other teams, like you're probably gonna win. Like track picks are like really, really one-sided. And I mean, there's no way in hell I'm ever picking any of those tracks that they picked. So they're practicing them every war, and then we're not playing them at all. And I mean, I don't even know the last time we've scrimmed. So it's like, I mean, we're just not
Semis.
practicing the tracks. Like, yeah, semis was our last scrim. Like, but
Or that
Yeah,
scrim was harder, yeah.
I might definitely had way more practice. They played a scrim right before finals, and then they played 3 scrims all back to back last night.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
they
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
had they definitely had, I guess. I'm not saying better chem, but I guess more warmed up. But it could also go negatively, and I guess they could be more worn out going into these
Mhm.
matches. So
I definitely felt like they were more warmed up at the start of map 1. Granted, the track picks were definitely a decent factor in that regard, but it definitely felt as if they were maybe a bit harder to start off there. Even if we did see some very nice plays on Mansion of Madness, that first nano snipe on the start of lap 2 does come to mind, for example. Getting the nano snipe onto Jack, I believe, or was it a Bell?
Yeah, it was Jack. And then I remember I hit the bullet bill twice and then failed the wraparound. So
Yeah. I didn't want to talk about that one specifically, especially considering that Mansion of Madness is the more popular track out of their usual track picks anyway. But
Yeah.
anything that you want to say about getting the inaugural CTC banner, getting transitioning from your dominance in CTL to this quote unquote new era, as I like to coin it?
I think, I mean, overall, I mean, there's not really too much. I mean, we've won D1 before. I guess it's cool to win it like in a new league, but it's still essentially the same thing. But I just think like now the player pool is just not as good, so it probably just doesn't feel as good. Like I don't know, like
Yeah,
or maybe
no,
I'm just maybe
no,
after
I get-
winning so many
yeah.
times, it's just like I don't know. It
Nah,
doesn't.
I
I
get
mean, your
that.
roster is different than like the times you won it before.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I get that. There's been like the huge exodus towards Mario Kart World. Like a lot of players now being part of E- in Mario Kart World. I'm thinking Thunder, Ryan, soon. Like a lot of usual suspects that you would see in Division 1 now not being part anymore might definitely dampen that feeling at least a little bit. But either way,
Mhm.
hopefully that will end up improving in the coming seasons. We're going to have to say, but yeah, I must have been pretty surprising to see MI in finals, considering that they've never managed to reach such heights before in Division 1 back then.
Well, I think well, they never even really even played D1 because they were always ducking. But I mean, this season they were forced into it, and then they were like definitely the best team, like out of all the other teams in the pool. Like
There
I
was
mean,
like on paper expected to make finals, I think.
for sure, yeah. They just had the most like established LU, like so. I mean,
they definitely had the
I mean-
most chem compared to a lot of newer teams. Like our team, for example, was a bit
Yeah.
harder just because the chem wasn't there. But
yeah, that's a good point. They've been playing
Yeah.
together for years, and all these new teams
yeah,
haven't.
exactly.
Like, so
I feel like Omega was probably the only other exception to that rule and just having a bunch of chemistry already going into the Custom Track Cup. But speaking of which, I do want to talk about the semifinals a little bit, because while the match 1 was, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, Sparkster, the match 1 was pretty much a stomp. Match
Yeah,
2
I
was,
know it was bad. Yeah.
but match 2 was a lot closer and actually came down to the wire there. Anything that you want to mention about match 2 of semis that almost ended up slipping out of your hands altogether?
I don't really remember.
if I'm
really
gonna be
remember
if,
anything.
if I'm
Yeah.
gonna be completely honest, I do not remember playing semis like at
No,
all. Like I don't
okay.
know. Like,
Great.
I guess I mean for us, right? Like we always just play to get to finals, right? So I mean, I think there's like semis. I mean, was just like another step. Like I think I don't know if did we even play ZA during the actual season? I have no idea.
No,
but
No, you didn't.
No,
No, you didn't.
we did
we
a
didn't?
0-0. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I just think like because they're a new team and like a lot of their players are returning from like way back, like we just had the advantage, so we kind of knew we were gonna win. I think, especially after match 1, like, and then, I mean, just get to finals. Like I don't know, that was the goal. I mean, I'm trying to think, and I actually don't remember the semis at all. I just remember I fell off on the hole. That's all I
you were
remember.
down. You were down in the first 8 races, I believe, before a big comeback on GP3, if I'm not mistaken.
Clutch.
Yeah, it was a lot closer than it was expected after match 1, but yeah, I suppose it was simply a case of just getting back up to speed, possibly after the match 1 being such a stomp, maybe not expecting such a strong comeback from ZA in match 2.
Yeah, I do. The one thing I do remember from that is that like we were up like 100, like 50 or something in match 1, and I think they got like 4 of our best tracks in a row, like to burn them in that match.
Yeah, I do remember that as well.
Yeah, no,
It was like somewhat annoying. But
match two was definitely more even, just because we had more tracks to choose from compared to you guys, because you guys burned like Rabbit Hole, Marble, Color, etc., all in match 1. So
yeah.
I think you picked the color, which was annoying.
Yeah,
But-
color was picked by color was
or
picked by
well,
ZA.
they picked Color while I was
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think another thing that 6C is really bad with is like we're more like a group of friends than we are like a team. I feel like so it's like really hard for us
Especially
to take
this
things like
season.
it's just like so hard for us to take things seriously. I mean, we were up after 5 races and we went a full Wario squad in
Yeah,
finals.
yeah.
Like, who does that? Like,
And picked
Yeah,
off
I
the
would-
list.
and then picked off the list. Yeah, like, it was so random. Like,
in all fairness, I was as surprised as Ivan that Warriors Climate Cataclysm wasn't on list
I
at
was
all.
so sure that was on the list, dude.
Yeah,
I was like,
no,
what
same.
track has to do with Wario? That's the only one I can think of.
Warrior
Bruh.
Stadium is literally right there. Warrior Stadium
Yeah,
is literally
no.
right
Oh, fuck.
there, and you're top 256, bro.
Yeah.
That track's
Okay.
dog shit.
Fair enough. Anyway, any final words that you want to mention to cap off the season? Anything else to say?
For me personally, it's just like kind of nice being able to play in the pack, so my 2 Grandmaster teammates can carry me the entire time.
Okay.
Yeah, and they can bomb snipe you out of third
Yeah.
while you're goldening, right?
Especially because that did happen. Especially because I'm definitely like not as good as I used to be, so I can kind of just play in the pack and hit them. So it's kind of nice.
Speaking of which, actually, I do want to talk about Ivan also breaking 100 in the first match. Definitely not something
shocking,
I just.
right? Like, yeah.
Okay, I'm not I'm not gonna call it shocking, but this is definitely a very nice sight to see, especially with Zilla being so trash in match 1. I mean, what? Anyway.
Oh,
What?
Blocking
damn.
everything.
Okay, in all seriousness, I think
Yeah.
that'll be all for today. We do have the Division 4 finals in a few hours, so stick around for that, but that will be all for us. Congratulations, 6C, once again, on yet another Division 1 banner, and the first one
you.
in Custom Track Cup. Congratulations to MI for making it to finals and giving us a really fun finals to cast. Thank you to Sparkster and to Motsico for being an amazing co-caster and stream host once again. And thank you guys for watching this finals with us today. And hopefully we'll see you guys later.